a strange thing, but when it gets to the closer to the finish line now, have they got the hunger?
Yeah. So this is why, if you're a Richmond supporter, you're just so supremely confident. The last 5 weeks, they are offensively better than they were this time last year. So attack, their turnover game's better, which is what they base their whole, much of their scoring on. Defensively, they're better. Their midfield's better, and they're moving the ball better in the last 5 weeks. So they're peaking. They're coming good at the right time in the competition. So all those things are fantastic. We know where they sit in terms of their premiers, 2 of the last 3. Had a couple of slip-ups along the way, but they just seem to get it right at the right time of the year.
And both on decent winning streaks, these two, as they come here tonight. Just before we delve any deeper, Tom Morris is reporting that Joel Selwood has had surgery to stabilise his dislocated finger. Geelong hasn't ruled him out for next weekend, but he's had surgery today. So Tom Lynch played the week after he had surgery on his hands, but you could tell the level of discomfort, and it's resulted in surgery today, so presumably on return to Queensland.
Wouldn't go back in, would it? There's a bit of jumping around on the side, and very stoic he was. He just sat there, and
there was that one stoppage, wasn't there, where it popped out again, and Paul Winter. It was always going to go to him.
No doubt it was going to him. Some of our categories. So the matchups for Coates Hire can make it happen. You got a couple that jump off the page.
The matchup of the 2 great young emerging athletes, Hipwood and Bolter. That's something that, and these are the only times we can do matchups, because you can't do them through the middle, Jared. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be sensational. I want to see a matchup with Grimes, in as much that I want to see a Brisbane forward engage Dylan Grimes. Now, Grimes has gone to Cameron historically, and then famously in this final last year when they were up there, Cameron just stayed too deep and he played the game on Dylan Grimes' terms. Now, I'm sure Charlie's evolved as a footballer, matured as a footballer, and won't fall into that trap if indeed Dylan Grimes goes to him again.
Because he didn't go to him last time, did he?
No, he didn't. We had that great sense of anticipation. In fact, I watched a bit of that today, and they swapped and changed.
It was big anticlimax. It was a big, massive talk at the leader.
They sort of took whoever, Floston got him if he got close. Grimes had him for a moment going back. So that'll be interesting. Is it McStay? Can McStay go and just engage Grimes and stay on his shoulder? Athletically, I think he's a fantastic talent, Daniel McStay. I don't think Daniel McStay knows how good a talent he is. But then you got Vlosten, who's a great interceptor. Then you got Hooley's just so damaging off half-back with ball in hand. Then you got Baker, who's underrated and being able to become so important on transfer of play, on ball movement, on turnover. So
he's one of the great stories at Richmond, I reckon, Liam Baker.
Yeah, he is,
173 centimetres. He's a knockabout lad from WA.
Yep.
But he's been wonderful.
Short as well as a kicker, back in off that half-back line. So those boys there, that forward group of Hipwood, McStay, McInerney, you don't reckon there's a lot of defensive pressure in that group. So then it falls to Rayner, which I'm not sure it's his first thought. Cameron can. Kadeem Coleman, the young kid, I think will have had that drilled into him, and then McCarthy, I don't know. So I'm not sure whether they are defensively strong enough in that forward group to put pressure on the best rebounding half-back line in the competition, and that's
but
probably...
they need to be, don't they?
If they're not, they'll get sliced open. I mean, we saw that. We did that game, Hutto. We saw it, and they hurt them on rebound, and they didn't just do it with precision. They had options coming out of their back half in that game, so that's going to be a real big focus, I think, for the Brisbane Lions.
Whatever you need at Coates Hire can make it happen. Who's set to sparkle for SodaStream? New Pepsi for SodaStream. This is like the preemptive votes, Gaz, as SodaStream's come on as who's set to sparkle.
Why haven't we done that?
Because we haven't been there, I suppose.
No, that's true. Who's set to sparkle? I'm a bit like a broken record. So we know what we're going to get. We know Lachie Neale brings this. We know Jared Lyons brings this. Zorko will do what he's doing. It's the upside of McCluggage and Berry. That is the upside. So if those are in 2 of the 3 votes, then they're going to be pretty close. I spoke about Hipwood as well. I mean, he needs to, I think, at least we hit the scoreboard, yes, but control the air to the point where this Richmond defence doesn't just take over the whole entire game. And then the obvious There's only one on the other side. Well, not only one. There is only one you go to, and that's Dustin Martin. And that is, anyone could be an AFL analyst for this game to look at Richmond and say, who's going to sparkle? But this is the reality. This is the huge reality. He has smashed Brisbane. I looked at some numbers today, smashed them. From the day he started playing, he's either got 40, he's kicked 6, he's had 26. He didn't kick any last week, last time they played, but he had 24 and set up about 5. So, he's a huge focus for this Brisbane side. Richard Birchall off half-back. I just keep talking about those. They got a big role to play. I worry about Grant Birchall. I haven't seen anyone expose him just yet. I think he's exposable. His nous and smarts is undeniable, and he'll get the ball given to him and he'll set up by foot and all those sorts of things. But I think there's an opportunity to make him work really hard and push him up and back and down and see whether he can be there towards the end of the game. But ball in hand, those two guys have got a big role to play tonight.
New Pepsi for SodaStream. Great taste, just add bubbles. The warm-ups just coming to the climax now for Ream, Australia's number 1. Then we'll have the formalities in a couple of minutes' time ahead of this second qualifying final. It looks like a gorgeous night in Brisbane. Where are we weather-wise? Should have done that before. 22 degrees still.
Ooh. Yeah, it's just
starting to... 29 degrees as a top today and still 22 degrees heading for a low of 15.
I'll ask you two guys, one from each side, that will walk off the ground tonight and you'll go, geez, hasn't he just stood up in this final series? I've got one in mind as well, particularly from a Brisbane point of view. It's the question without notice.
Zach Bailey is one that I've
that's a good point.
Really enjoyed this year. And sorry to give you two, but maybe I'm not as sure about this guy, but Archie's improvement late in the year has been important.
Yep, they're good nominations. I've still got one at Brisbane that I think could be, maybe it's going to arrive tonight. Jared does his
just doing my studies. So I'm a bit with you on McCluggage.
Yeah.
So I'd get into your wash there. So who's your guy?
I've been watching Rayner. I've been watching Cam Rayner, the number 1 draft pick, and he's grown into his body. He's gone into a midfield a bit in the centre bounces, and he's just started to throw his weight around a bit. I think it's occurred to him that, I am big, I am physically. He's got a bit of the Petrarchus about him. Christian took a long time to realise just how physically imposing he could be.
Well, he's compared with Dusty when he first came in.
Yeah, well, all those, and which were fair enough. All those comparisons are great, but I think it has occurred to him.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm excited about the prospect of him doing something tonight that might make us all sit up.
The weather update was for Fujitsu, Australia's favourite air, and the ground does look in terrific nick. There's nothing like just a little bit of a breather late in a season with the weather the way that it has been for Corteva Agri-Science, the future of agriculture. The Gabba looks a picture. So the two teams come to the wing to observe the formalities and to really get set up for that finals atmosphere. Our grand final venue sees its first in this series in 2020, and they see the home side. We'll get to hear what sort of an environment it can be for the host nation in this 2020 finals series. And the anthems and the welcome to country about to take place for 25,000. They're lucky footy fans who are at games this weekend, maybe 100,000 across the 4 games. Off to a terrific start at Adelaide Oval as we join the welcome to country.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you now please join the coaches, players and umpires as
finals roar emanates from the Gabba on a glorious evening in Brisbane. Damien Hardwick missed the start of the formalities. He'd forgotten about the anthems.
It was classic Richmond. They just all started laughing. Trent Cotchin and Dusty started laughing. And then it panned over to Fags that hasn't had the luxury of a premiership, and he had the look on his face that you'd expect of a man that needs his first finals victory. There's so much at stake here, boys. You get this, you're in the prelim, and then you got a week off and you're sitting back and you're watching the others fall over themselves trying to get through what has just been the most demanding schedule of all. Dustin Martin's doing some talking in the huddle at the moment while Trent Cotchin tosses a coin. Don't know whether that bodes well for the Brisbane Lions. That means he's on and switched on and interested at the moment. Here is the toss.
All the best, guys.
And the Zork has won the toss. So the Brisbane Lions. How much of this Brisbane Lion home ground, Gabba, in your own bed, all that stuff that we've talked a lot about, how much is it going to account for tonight against Richmond? I'm giving it some scope. I'm giving it a fair bit of substance to the point I'm tipping Brisbane.
You're tipping Brisbane?
I'm going with Brisbane. I've talked myself into Brisbane.
Fantastic, yes.
And I just think I think it's going to give them a fantastic opportunity to start really well. The crowd will get involved. They know what's coming their way. They've played okay against this superb Richmond side in the past. I think it's going to hold them in good stead, and maybe Tom Lynch out of the side just might tip it in favour of the Brisbane Lions.
I can't share your sentiment. I have to go for Richmond, but let's just hope it's a great contest.
Well, it'll be. I generally think it will be that. I'm hoping that. I don't know whether it's going to be high scoring or not. They'll take the game on the lines. They want to play. They want to play at a little bit of pace. They want to get through the middle of the ground. Talked all about Dustin Martin. We've hardly mentioned Lachie Neale, a man that's probably going to take a Brownlow medal home in about 2 weeks' time. What a superb season he had. Put him down for 25 to 30 already.
Zorko as well, guys. I mean, he hasn't quite been at that level, which is sort of a good thing for Brisbane. He hasn't need to be the role that he was in the past, but he'd love to put on a big show tonight.
I reckon his greatest value tonight is if he can hit the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And we know that he can hit the scoreboard. If he can kick 2 or 3, that would be huge. And can Charlie get the motorbike revved up to full revs? It's Leicester that's gone to Jack Reebok, which is interesting. Not Gardner.
Matchup for Co Tyre. Opening bounce for Tyre Power, keeping you safe on the roads in difficult times. For the second year running, it's the Lions and the Tigers in a qualifying final at the Gabba on AFL Nation here with Anthony Hudson.
And sadly, it's going to start with a rebounce to get things going, but Grimes is going to Charlie.
He did, and then Charlie sort of stayed high and Grimes handed over, so we'll watch.
So the delayed bounce takes place. It's tapped down from McInerney to Lions, and they get the first thrust forward. Oh, almost marked by McCarthy. Didn't stop, though. He got the handball out to him, but who drills the pass onto the chest of McCluggage. Is he within range? He doesn't look like he is.
Well, we know that his goal kicking's been appalling. Here's the first test.
He hands it off to Daniel Rich. We've seen this before. He wasn't perfectly balanced, but it doesn't matter. The plan comes together so quickly for Brisbane. McCluggage just didn't quite think he could go the journey. Daniel Rich could. The handball was given. The kick was taken. The goal is registered. Brisbane have the first. What a start for the home team.
Oh, there's a couple of components of that you've got to love if you're a Brisbane fan, and that was a composure with ball in hand to Hipwood. Swung onto the left foot, and I reckon early in the year would have just blazed away, but he didn't. He lowered the eyes and he hit up McCluggage, and then you thought, here's the ultimate test of the goal-kicking woes. We're going to get a look at it early. So poor from Richmond. So poor defensively to have just Daniel Rich, the best kick in the comp, I reckon, from outside 50, sitting off the back of the man that you wanted to have the kick, in McCluggage, who's got the yips.
Great reactions from Hipwood and from Cameron as they were watching it sail through, all acutely aware what it means to get a major first up. A goal of the night contender on your phone. You're driving blind, TAC.
For such a disciplined team, it's a big lapse letting Daniel Rich sit off a pack like that.
So a centre bounce goal from the Lions to get them going. McInerney reaches up, wins the next tap. Cotchin is onto it. Hand pass to Nankervis, out the back to Hooley. For the play to Cotchin, who got driven into the ground by McInerney. A ball and all tackle. It spills the way of Martin, though. And the Tigers come forward, but only momentarily, because Starcevic stands his ground and intercepts at half back. Here goes the short pass with an element of risk. Dusty gets in, cuts it off, turns onto the left boot, kicks up to the 50. Pickett's gliding through the pack. He grabbed his kick inside, and McCluggage cut it off.
Comes away with a football, left foot kick for Charlie Cameron. He took it and darts left. That opens up some possibilities. He grubs it forward. Berry was a little slower to react than Asprey, so the Tigers get it onto their terms. Floston plays it out to Grimes, who gets just the right depth on the kick to Rioli. So they're right out on the right wing. The only goal so far is with Brisbane. Rioli to send Richmond forward again. An up and under kick. Chol is the target. He's got two to contend with. Andrews just dismissed Chol. Got it to ground and across to Rich, who bangs it up to the wing. Hooley in front. Cameron made a run. Didn't elevate at the right time. All place Floston. What a player he is. Burst through. Handballs off to Rioli, who missed kicks forward. And Daniel Rich is everywhere at the moment. He takes the intercept mark.
So back down the line's not where they want to go. He's looking inside here. He's probably going to have to at the moment, but they're set up well down the line, Richmond.
He's told to get it moving, Rich, which he does all the way to the interchange gates where Hipwood moved the pack.
Yeah, great result. Really good sign.
A Glenn Cameron can-do mark of the night. He gets it moving quickly in the Cameron direction. Pickett dismissed him. McCarthy ran down Pickett, but not before he got it away. It was Asprey who set it to short, kick to the wing. Hipwood's back in attendance. He's tackled to ground. It'll be a ball up.
It's all momentous with Brisbane at the moment. The crowd's up and about, but this is Richmond at its best. They'll absorb this early pressure. They will handle this early heat.
Yeah, the crowd's bought their finals best. They're making an impact at the moment. Edwards came charging through to get it to his Tiger teammates. A hand pass through Cochin and Martin and now Graham. They advance to half forward. They're going to get further. No. Revolt dropped the second grab and Gardner got the spillage. Off to Zorko, who's darting. His eyes went in and then his kick goes out to McInerney.
Wonder whether Gardner's just rolled back over to Revolt. We thought Leicester did take him early, but I think they may have changed that up.
So again it's through Rich, who will look to bring it inside or switch. One of the two. He goes to Zorko, playing it back down that left wing for Richmond, for Brisbane. A too casual handball by Gardner. He went to rectify it. He cleaned it up to an extent. There's a prolonged tackle on Rich. He escaped when no one thought he was going to. Edwards got the handball to Martin. He'll flash through without the foot. Dusty's kicked it beautifully. And Revolt led to the right place. He takes the mark. They double back to the square. Art screaming for it. Jack thought the risk was too high. He's going to take the responsibility to shoot from 45 plumb in front.
Superb from Dustin Martin. Yeah, under pressure, off one pace if you don't mind. Had a quick look and kicked it out to the space. Revolt, easy chest mark.
He can kick like very few others in history, Dustin Martin, when he gets those kicks right. Jack Revolt, plumb in front, beautiful execution. He's got such a pivotal role to play tonight for the Tigers, and he starts in fine fashion. It's a goal each at the Gabba. Great start to this final.
Yeah, superb. We've just seen the skills on display here, and look, there's a bit of... So they'll be looking at the Brisbane Lions and saying, we controlled it in our back half, but we kept going down the same line. So wherever possible, they've got to try and square that ball, change direction, maybe get through the middle. But as I said, there's this great sense of, they've kicked the first goal, Brisbane, the crowd are going crazy. Any other side, you go, this is a challenge. They keep their nerve, hold their nerve, Richmond. Just bad mistake from Gardner, who's trying to move the ball. It was the right decision. It's a bad handball. Ball gets turned over and Jack does what Jack's been doing for a long time. So great start to the game.
The car sales replay number one for Cars. Gardner just couldn't get it to Rich. They've wanted it in his hands early. He's had 5 already. It's a goal apiece on the Brighton Homes Build Better with Brighton scoreboard.
It is Leicester, though, who stays with Revolt, which is an interesting move.
No shortage of Tiger fans at the Gabba. It's a mix in with the locals, who are cheering for the Lions. At the bounce, Nankervis planted himself. McInerney threw him out of the way. No one laid a glove on it. Bolton got caught by McInerney holding the ball.
Great tackle from your ruckman.
Pinned an arm. Bolton had no option but to throw it away, and he's thrown it away all right. He's given away a 50-metre penalty.
That is a fantastic tackle from your ruckman following up, and then for some reason, Shea Bolton just... little push from McInerney and then an overreaction from Bolton, so the 50's warranted. Got to make him pay. Loved it from the ruckman, though.
It'll be a shot at goal wherever Oscar lands.
Mitch Robinson, not surprisingly, just when there's something approaching a dust-up, you think he's not far away.
It's not over yet.
No,
Too bad, actually.
he's not there. He's not the worst, Oscar, from a ruck point of view.
He's kicked 5 goals for this season.
That's almost the best that Brisbane have got.
So he's the right side of the ledger. Oscar McInerney, first set shot. Beautiful. Full of authority and confidence. And broad smiles from his teammates. The Lions cash in on the ill discipline of the Tigers. It's 2 straight to 1 straight. On the Brighton home scoreboard, Build Better with Brighton, we have gone 7 minutes.
Oh, it's a bit in it. So Shea Bolton, who's had a fantastic season, he'll be walking back thinking, I've got one to pull back here. But how important was it that Oscar McInerney went back and kicked the goal and didn't look like missing, went straight through the middle. So the 2 opportunities, the 2 set shot opportunities they've had have been drilled, and that's so important for a team who've had issues with their goal kicking.
Chris Fagan told us so.
Convinced himself and others.
2 straight to 1 straight. Brighton Homes. Discover why it's better with Brighton Homes. Take you round the grounds tonight for Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day. NRL big matches underway there. So 6-point margin. We look at the replay for car sales.
It's a longer break between goals in finals or not?
Feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the middle. Slap goes the bounce. Martin beaten for it over the top by Ned Curvis. Cochin could have been taken high. Sockered the ball out towards the boundary. Arts versus Birchall. And it goes out. There's just a little minor physical contest afterwards. We'll have a throw in. Dusty just trots inside the 50, a little way to the left from where this throw-in will take place.
Holding by the arm, Richmond, Toby Nankervis.
Free kick to Toby Nankervis, so first edition of Ruck Lotto for the night.
No tag, but Cochin and Neil close by.
Nankervis, his kick goes just to the point of the square. Harris Andrews is ready to spoil. He does with a fist. It remains dangerous. Robinson made a play at it. Jack cobbled something together. It wobbled its way towards the goals and hit the post. It could easily have gone through. It's the first minor of the night. 1-1-7 to 2 straight 12 as Birchall kicks in for Brighton Homes. Build Better with Brighton.
Berry marks and plays on. He'll play the outer side with a long ball down the line. Chol hit the pack hard, brought it to ground for Baker to bring away for the Tigers. Inboard to Bolton. Edge of the centre square. Right foot drop punt right to the teeth of goal. Revolt at the back, brought it to ground. Gardner paddled it direct to the boundary. Berry was on the spot. And that's enough to satisfy the umpire that it wasn't deliberate.
It's a strange kick from Berry on the way out, as he kicked it off his left boot when he didn't need to.
And continually going down one side of the ground, which is playing into this Richmond defence at the moment.
Right forward pocket, Martin just pushed Stephen Martin out of the way, and after Dusty gave away the free kick, he took the shot at goal.
It's fair enough, Dusty. I don't think he could possibly think there was any other decision coming than the push, given that it was a two-handed shove. And then he kicked it and looked up the umpire and said, how come it's 50?
Stephen, your kick.
He got away with something completely unruly in last year's qualifying final, so perhaps it was just an early luck tester. Steph Martin brings it out to McCluggage from the wing. Not his best kick coming inboard. He set a task for Birchall. Regained his footing, squeezed a kick wide to half forward. It got away from McStay and went out of play.
Encouragingly, one of those shots we did see down the ground was that all of the Richmond defenders did have opponents, so there wasn't this Dylan Grimes just dropping off the back and being the lone man, so that's a good sign early.
Brisbane by 5. Chol starts a metre or so behind Martin and didn't really make the contest. Bolton was able to parry it away to Prestia and then off to Graham, and they get some clean possession together as Arts comes up to meet it. Takes the chest mark, eyes off a ball into the middle. It's dangerous. It hangs for Hooley. Over the top, McCarthy. Good commitment. Matched by Flostone. Shredded him of the footy. A hurried kick forward is taken by Starcevic. Big determined look on his face as he handballed it to Berry. Nothing clean about this. And that's a free kick we saw last night paid a couple of times.
Well, he said he took him on. He had 2 or 3 paces before he got to Robinson.
So it went against Flostone. It goes to Robinson. A high ball. It gets over the back of Neil and fisted by Asprey over the line.
How good was Floston before the free kick, by the way? I think it's a fair free kick. I think he had enough time to make a decision not to run at him. They're that good. They had Baker beside him. He could have slipped a little left-hand handball out. But just prior to that, he was magnificent. Floston in an intercept tackling.
Thrown again, Martin. Again the tap. Once more it's read by Richmond. Prestia a high ball. No signs about it, but Arts read the play. Gave it back to Prestia. He's gone. Hunted down. He Did he get a handball away? The umpire believes he did. Love to see the replay for Car Sales. Instead, we're going to have a ball up.
He must have had, I think our angle must have been a poor one because it looked cut and dried.
Who's up?
Just got his right arm out.
Yep.
So it's a ball up in the centre of the ground. Lions by 5. Chol does the ruck work. Put it down underfoot. Zorko scraps hard. Lambert settles it though. Slips the hand pass out the side for Prester. He put him into space. The Tigers come forward via the kick. Revolt got out of position and Leicester leans back and takes the mark.
7-3 clearances in favour of Richmond, which is against the tide here.
Maybe it's deliberate, Gaz. Reverse
Maybe,
psychology.
just to think they're not sure what they're doing. They are winning the ball back well at half-back.
Leicester to Bailey. The switch to the far side, which has been their favoured way. Berry marks, gives the hand pass to Birchall. They have opened the spare down the line. McCarthy takes the mark. Will he go quickly? He does. He trots off. He steers the ball inside 50 and Hipwood takes the mark in front of his eyes.
Here's the test now. This is a test for Eric from 40. Probably going to kick from 50. Wrong side for a left footer if you like, but really love that ball movement. That ball movement is what they're going to look for. In fact, Bolter left. Now if he left Hipwood to try and get up and intercept, but the minute he didn't get there, it exposed the Richmond defence out the back with Eric Hipwood on his own.
McCarthy was given a lot of time, wasn't he?
Yes,
Initially
yeah.
wasn't going to go, and then he assessed it pretty well.
Hipwood left half forward. He's on the best part of a 45-degree angle. He'll kick from the digits. Hipwood tests his luck. Left foot drop punt, gets away across the face of goal and through for a behind. 2-1 to 1-1. The Lions lead it early on the Brighton Homes scoreboard. Build better with Brighton.
Longstone takes the easiest re-entry that was available, short to Asprey.
Been inside 55 times the Lions and scored 3 times, so they'll take that.
Asprey kicks as high and as long as he possibly can. It won't reach the wing. Hipwood a presence in the air, doesn't mark. Lambert comes away. His hand pass was behind. Prestia good enough to not just win it but send it forward by hand. And the Tigers through Graham get to Rioli. Dump handball to Bolton. He's got runners on the outside. He finds one of them. McIntosh into the 50. Goes for Chol. Well, he got him, but he didn't take the mark. Leicester hesitated. He had nothing to kick to. He just wobbled it out towards the line. Now Coleman is there. Reinforcements are plenty for the Lions, and they can run, they can gun. A hand pass came to a full stop. Leicester squeezed a kick on the inside. It ends up okay for Zorko, and he's thrown it.
Great tackle.
Yep.
Great tackle by Rioli.
Advantage taken, almost reluctantly given by the umpire, but Nankervis knew what he was doing. He finds Lambert.
Lambert plays it to the fat side. Baker's on the dash, never hesitated, launched from range and kicked the finest of goals. Liam Baker with his first goal of the season, dashing out of half-back, and he levels it up after 15 minutes on the Makita and Power Means business clock. It's 2-1 apiece.
Magnificent Rioli. Go back to Daniel Rioli because they look to be almost out, the Brisbane Lions, and Dane Zorko, who just, it was a bad mistake. He had support with him. He could have gone, I think, either inside or outside, but he tried to take Rioli on. And Rioli just held him up and was able to get the left arm down. Then I reckon it was a dubious play advantage from the umpire call, but it worked out for them because it opened up for Baker and the finish was superb. It's a really good game of footy, boys. It's a great game of footy.
Yeah, it's two sides fit for the occasion from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and it's going against pattern to some degree, particularly from this clearance point of view, but 2 goals apiece.
They've won 5 of the last 6 clearances, the Tigers. Scores are tied up. AFL Nation for McDonald's. The Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners. Tap down from Nankervis. A shark well by Bolton. They get the handball game going, although it comes to an abrupt halt. Nankervis is cornered.
Well, they should have had another clear clearance then. And again, it was from a tackle that turned it over. So both sides taking tackling opportunities here.
Charlie Cameron was the man that hunted him down successfully that time. Plays it extremely short to Rich. It wasn't without risk.
It wasn't Rich's. It wasn't meant for Rich either.
It's marked that he's still in the centre circles right now, but we know how far he can launch it. He tempers it a little, trying to direct it to the height, and McStay got even higher as he jumped and dragged down the mark in front of goal.
It's a great result to mark against this Richmond defence of Bolter, Asprey, Grimes and Vlosten is very, very rare indeed. And let's just have a look at this. Asprey was the direct opponent, couldn't get a run at it. There was a congestion. There was 3 Richmond defenders there, including Nankervis. But McStay's marked, so McStay's marking it and Hipwood has marked it. It's a good result.
Contender for the Glen Camerons can-do mark of the day. It's all about the finish, which has never been certain with Daniel McStay, but that one puts it right through. And some of the Lions fans desperate to get on their feet and really live this final. They've made the start they've needed to. They're right in the contest. They've kicked straight mostly. They lead 3-1-19 to 2-1-13. Brighton Homes scoreboard. Build better with Brighton.
This is the sort of footy we like, Anthony. Goals, scoring, one end of the ground to the other. Charlie Cameron tackle was as good as the Daniel Rioli tackle, and they both resulted in goals. So all aspects of the game being rewarded at the moment. And Lockie Neal sits trying to, what's he had?
Nothing.
He hasn't touched the footy.
No.
So I don't reckon it's a bit hard when you're not at the ground. I don't think Trent Cotchin is going hard tag on him, but they certainly seem to be accountable for each other. So that's a great sign for Brisbane. They're a goal up.
Yeah.
Lockie Neal hasn't touched the footy.
Neil and Fagan side by side are on the bench for Spitwater High Pressure Cleaners. Tools, not toys. Aussie tough. Lions by a goal. Umpire holds us in suspense. Steph Martin's gone in against Nankervis. Beautiful high bounce to deal with. Steph Martin wins the tap, but it's taken by Dusty Martin, who sidesteps his way out of the middle. Kicks long in the Chol direction. It came up a fraction short. He's got it on the bounce, though. He tripped over his own feet. Hand passes low down to Graham. Spreads it to Cochin. Shrugged the tackle of Lions. Kicked around the corner and did it magnificently.
Oh, wow.
Trent Cochin steps up to the mark. Not just the brutal attack on the footy and the trademark strength, but a glorious finish. And it's tied up at 3-1-19 apiece on the Brighton home scoreboard. Better build with Brighton and Gaz. That's a goal of the night contender. On your phone, you're driving blind. TAC.
Write that down so I don't forget it, because how could you? So this is what we're getting here. We're getting the best players just displaying their talent. So ball goes back in there, 3-2 down. Dustin Martin sells Candy in the middle of the ground, which is just superb. Gets the ball forward, and then a missed tackle here from Lions, I reckon it is. Great work through the middle of the ground, but the tackling pressure's been so good. And then I just want to have a look on the replay, and it was Lions had Trent Cotchin cold, and then somehow he was able to get himself out onto a left foot, and then the finish was worthy of a Brownlow medalist. So if last night was a bit of a dour affair, this started magnificently. Now, the worry is at quarter time, both coaches will say enough.
Yeah, they won't like this.
But right now, we've been enjoying it. And Dusty's gone to the goal square, and Starcevic has got him.
So he's got his wish as Nankervis hooked this one down. They come charging off the edge of the square. Bailey couldn't control it the first time. He got clobbered by Nankervis on his second attempt.
Ooh, the big Nank. That's the big Nank, just having a bit of finals physical presence, but he was a bit over the top exuberant.
So Zach Bailey has been excellent, made good progression this year for Brisbane. He bangs this one high, McInerney the target. Rayner had an opportunity in the air, he didn't take the mark, and now the Tigers defence go to work. Grimes got it going with short, the handballs are pumped. Graham kept on running, got it back from Prestia in a flash there at half forward. The footy is with Dustin Martin, he's running away from goal, he turns, he blasts long, Jack stays down, and his opponent Leicester went to the ball and got a fist in it with satisfaction and kept it away from the danger, and it's out of bounds.
So it seems to me that they're really content to kick the ball long to about 20 metres out directly in front of goal and try and have a marking contest against this defence. Rayner had a great jump at it, but if they don't mark it, the ground ball becomes the critical issue, and it's gone the length the other way.
I think the blimp might be back, the camera with the blimp. The shots weren't far enough away already as the ball's on the way out as the kick goes from Birchall to Cameron, who marks.
So he's got Dusty, he's got Dylan Grimes up on centre wing on almost defensive side. That's a much better place to be.
Charlie Cameron guides it up the line with a well-weighted ball for McCarthy. It was protected in well by Rayner. Right on halfway, McCarthy's been told to get things moving as Grimes trots back with Charlie Cameron. Asprey used, he got the benefit of Bolter's bodywork and was able to take the mark. He goes backwards to Baker. Neil held him up initially and then he's given the clear to charge at him, but Baker uses it well, and Bolter, he takes off. He kicks it out towards the boundary and he puts Asprey into a little bit of space. The dink goes up the line to Edwards, who's pushed over after he takes the mark, and there's no alternative other than to pay a 50-metre penalty. And Chris Fagan's gone spare down on the bench.
If you're going to do it, you don't do it right in front of your coach.
Too much, isn't it?
Starcevic,
Enough, I
he
guess.
didn't have any contact on Edwards when he'd completed the mark. So it was unwarranted. Edwards pulls the kick in the McIntosh direction. And he's floored by Berry in the aftermath.
He was in the contest.
Oh, there's more in that, I would have thought that's more of a 50. Either way, though, the off-centre kick was superb. So we've seen already Dustin Martin kick to the middle of the ground, and this has gone across the forward 50 arc to your off-ball winger, I suppose you'd call it. He's marked the footy.
That's 50.
And he's been bowled over. He wasn't in the marking contest, Jared Berry. That umpire there was being enormously generous.
He did fall over, McIntosh, but it doesn't matter.
Camden McIntosh to give the Tigers the lead. He'll score. He kicks from 48 metres out. He'll score a goal. Tucks it in at the left-hand post. And it's the Tigers fans who are out of their seats. A lively start, 4-1-25 to 3-1-19 on the Brighton Home scoreboard. Discover why it's better with Brighton Home.
The reason the game is so high scoring is because they're kicking straight.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it could easily be 1 goal 4 to 2 goals 2, couldn't it?
That's a really good point, Hutto. And just the wingman getting involved here. The midfield, Prestia and Martin have had 6 possessions each. Graham's had 6 possessions. Lambert's had 5. None of the Brisbane line mids are finding any of the footy. Hugh McCluggage is the best, if you like. He's had 3 possessions and Berry's had 3. But none of their real, the ones that we think are going to get it. Zach Bailey's low. Zorko's only had 2. Robinson's had 1. Lyons has only had 1. And the biggest of all, Lachie Neale hasn't touched the footy. It's extraordinary.
23 and a half minutes in on the Makita and Power Means business clock. He usually gets 50 against the Lions.
He does.
Against the Tigers. They just let him be.
He's going to reverse. He's doing a reverse Malach.
So back in the middle, 2 minutes 30, and Sean Ryan can't get it right.
And Neil's back in this centre, and Cochin goes straight to him. We'll just watch to see how hard the lockdown is, if at all.
It's pretty decent there as his arms were across the front of his body. There's a free kick going Richmond's way to Dusty.
I'm sensing this tide here. It is just turning big time for the Tigers.
He's weighted the kick a little bit softer than he needed to, and Daniel Rich gets in the road and takes the mark.
The chaos ball that just is constantly in motion is playing into their hands.
Some hesitation from Rich. The last moment, he lowered his eyes and aimed at a couple of lines on the wing. One of them was Zorko, got it on the ricochet. Back to Mitch Robinson. It was a standing start. It was a rugby-style kick to try and buy a bit of time. It was a miscue. It was marked by Dan Curvis. Happy to regress back into the defensive 50 where Grimes takes the mark. It's Richmond by 6 points. There's a minute 50 on the clock and the Lions can't get to quarter time quick enough.
Grimes lags the kick to Bolter, who's stepped off his line, so it will be a long kick down the wing to a contest. Dusty Martin set himself for it. Robinson did enough. Pickett comes through and wins it for the Tigers. To Prestia and back to Pickett. He steadies himself to take some ground to half forward. He set it up high. Arts made the spoil over Andrews, and Rioli paddled it, hoping for his own advantage. It beat him to the boundary.
I think ground ball for me right now is really telling. Ball hits the ground and Richmond are all over it. They look to be far better equipped at the moment. That happens when Lyons and Neale and Zorko aren't finding any of the footy. Dusty sits with 7 possessions, 3 inside 50s, 3 clearances. He's doing to Brisbane what he does routinely.
At the throw-in, McInerney and Nankervis shared it. Cochin working hard underneath. He was empty-handed when he rose. Gardner's hand pass, socket off the ground by Lyons. He took good territory and the mark was taken by Hipwood. He's desperate to go. He's been called to play on. He's backtracking on the wing. Now he has to squeeze his kick to half forward, and that didn't work because Pickett was able to cut it off.
So they're marking the footy at half back here, which is a bad sign for Brisbane.
A quick hand pass to Short, who in his haste he may have stepped over the line. So we'll have a throw in. Still time for either team to take it from the wing and score. It is just in Brisbane's half at this stage. And Curvis has done a terrific job in the opening term. He's going head-to-head with McInerney once again. Dusty has As said, having a rest right now. McInerney swaps places. Bonehan-Curvis got the tap in the end. Got it from the front down to Lyons. He's scrounging. There's two Tigers. Pressure immense. It got to Starcevic. His kick was stunted and it fell Pickett's way. A hand pass to Bolton. They're away. He's going to kick it long. He didn't quite get all of it. Revolt's got two to contend with. One of those was Harris Andrews, who kills it.
How good's that, though? Jack Revolt 2-on-1, and he's still able to have a presence enough to get the ball just out of bounds. No thought of Harris Andrews marking intercept style, as Richmond have been doing.
So it's really likely to be only Richmond who can score from here, and a late goal would be telling. From the throat, 30 seconds left now. Prestia had a play on it, he couldn't get it, but Lambert can. Out to Bolton, it's a low ball into the 50. Oh, it bounces off the chest of Castagna. Can't grasp hold of it. And the umpire says a ball up, I think.
Yeah.
With 21 seconds remaining.
Daniel.
Dangerous here, though. They'll get really aggressive at this stoppage with 20 seconds on the clock.
A final flurry for the Tigers. Revolt and McInerney. McInerney pulled it out of the ruck. He did get it to his boots. He didn't find a teammate initially. Mitch Robinson against the flow underneath. Hand pass to McCluggage. Hand passed it out of a couple of tackles. Lyons works it up the wing. It got past McStay. It's gathered by Bolter. He didn't get it cleanly to Hawley, who's under siege from Rayner. Had to release it. Grimes did enough to keep it away from the threatening Lions. And we're called to a halt at the siren. And it's the Tigers players more than satisfied with the fight back and the defence in particular, the way that they have combined.
Lachie Neale has gone possessionless for the quarter. I'm no Daniel Hoyne, but I don't reckon that's happened at all this year.
I don't reckon it would have happened for 5 or 6 years unless there'd been injury.
Anyway, the Tigers worked really hard. I thought the first 10 minutes or so was Brisbane had it, not on their terms, but they enjoyed a really nice passage of play, but it was a grinding Richmond that got it back, and they have momentum.
Scoreboard for Brighton Homes, build better with Brighton. It's the Tigers 4-1-25 to the Lions 3-1-19 at quarter time at the Gabba. Around the grounds for Chemist Warehouse right now. Get half price vitamins at Chemist Warehouse. In the NRL, it's the Roosters 10 leading the Panthers 8, 22 minutes into that final, the first final of the NRL final series. Full thoughts of Gary Lyon on AFL Nation coming up for McDonald's. The Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners, and Liquorland, always great value. Tigers by a goal at quarter time, 4-1 to 3-1. The stats, disposals 80 to 55 in favour of Richmond. The inside 50s 12 to 7, and the clearances in their favour 11 to 8. Gary Lyon
goes against the script there, but excuse me. The quarter time siren came at a good time because the Richmond their game was building and building and building, and the best thing you can say about Brisbane was, well, they started really well. They kicked straight, but Lachie Neale hasn't touched the ball at all. Cam Rayner hasn't touched the ball at all. Lyons has had 3 scruffy ones. Robinson's only had 2. And then you look at the other midfield. Prestia 7, Martin 7, Lambert 6, Graham 6, Cochin taking accountability for Neale. So the midfield battle right now is where it's being dominated by Richmond. So there's upside. Lachie Neale's not going to go goalless. He's going to start to get busy, you would imagine. But that's a big discrepancy from a disposal point of view, 80 to 55. They kicked 3 of the last 4 goals of the game. They looked dangerous as they kept going. They won the ball at half back. That was the other thing that was really that would be worrying for Brisbane. So great quarter footy, really great to watch, but just they looked ominous, the Tigers. With about 12 minutes to go, there was this really familiar Richmond feel about it all, and you just said, oh yeah, that's why they've been the best team in the past 4 or 5 years.
The goal kickers, Baker, Revolt, Cochin and McIntosh. Well, for the Lions, it's Rich, McStay and McInerney. Opening bounce of the second term for Tyre Power. Kick straight with 5-minute safety check. It's a good high bounce to deal with as well. McInerney taps it down. Neale, it hit his boot and trickled to the wing. I doubt it's a disposal. Dustin Martin coughed it up with a hand pass to Rich, who was set upon by Pickett. Zorko got hold of the spilt footy. Rayner couldn't quite grab it. Baker coming through in defence, but he lost it. Lyons probes it inside the 50. Hipwood came down from his leap empty-handed. Grimes tidies it up. Hand pass to Nankervis. Terrible hand pass. He coughed it up. McCluggage. They found its way to Charlie Cameron, and he pounced on the opportunity. Split through and kicked the goal. Rayner had the assist to get himself onto the sheets. And the Lions tie it up in the opening minute of the second term. It's 25 apiece on the Repco authorised service scoreboard.
Aside from Neil getting a touch, this would have been the one thing they wanted most, and that was Charlie Cameron to get himself involved in the game. And it was a really un-Richmond-like handball at half-back that found its way into the hands of Toby Nankervis. You don't want Toby Nankervis involved in your handball chain coming out of defence, because then he makes a decision that just turns the football over. And then they were good enough. Cam Rayner got involved, and Charlie got the footy and did what Charlie does most of the time. He put his head down, put 2 yards on his opponent and kicked really important goal for Brisbane. Really important goal for Charlie Cameron. I don't know why Grimes in the end elected the handball
to the ruckman, facing back to him.
You just don't get involved in that passage of play. So Nankervis, a great finish by Charlie. Nankervis should have run towards Grimes to say, you run, I'll put someone on their backside here. And it cost them a goal.
Gary Lyon on AFL Nation for Liquorland. Always great value. Centre bounce fell for Bolton. He kicked quickly with depth, leading out Revolt. The fist came from nowhere from Andrews, and it punched with purpose to centre half back. McCluggage misses Archie. There's a high tackle on a Tiger. Martin to take the advantage. It's always going to be advantage when the ball's in Dusty's hand, because now it's on the chest of a teammate. Castagna accepted it gleefully. He'll have the shot from 45.
Great composure. I like the fact that Andrews has gone back to Revolt. Jack looked dangerous enough for you to go, let's put the best fullback or the All-Australian fullback in. And then Dusty again. He's already set up Revolt with a beautiful kick, and he just uses the ball so well. So he hasn't hit the scoreboard, but he's going to have a direct say in a couple of big scores.
So Castagna, 7-7 from set shots so far this year. He'll give Richmond the lead by a goal. He's kicked directly through the middle. He's already enjoying the moment with McIntosh and Martin, the man who supplied it to him, and joined by others. There's a glum look on a few Lions' faces that are shown now. Tigers take the lead back. It's 5-1 to 4-1 in an excellent display of goal kicking. A lot of them have been from in front of goal, but still, as we've seen, they have to be kicked.
So here's the question for you learned gentlemen, and the question that they'd be asking themselves in the coach's box at Brisbane. What do we do with Dustin? What do we do? He's ripped us, he's just torn us to shreds for the last 15 outings, and he's doing it again in a big final. So what do? Do they just let him run rampant and then at the end of the game say, well, he's done it again? Or do they assign someone to him? Does someone take responsibility for Dustin Martin? Or are they just going to let him do what he's been doing for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years against the Brisbane Lions?
Who they got, Gaz? Who would you send to him?
That is the great question. And I don't know whether Zorko has an ability to do anything like this or whether he's ever done it before. But if it's good enough for Trent Cotchin to roll over and take Lachie Neale, maybe he needs to take responsibility.
Well, Zorko is side by side with him at the centre bounce. It's the Tigers by a goal. Zorko pinches the footy before it reaches Dusty, but his hand passes charged down by Cotchin. So the Tigers skipper wins the duel. He kicks out to the wing. Robinson first there, offloaded. Castagna finds a way through. He tries to build the Tigers up through Graham, and now McIntosh. The inboard kick had the right idea, but it fell in short, and it was picked off by Lions. Hand pass to Rich, guides them down the wing. Bailey went one-handed, came down without it. Grimes to Cotchin to Flostone, sidestep the charging Bailey, delivers Richmond up to half forward. Dusty's all on his own. He marks 60 metres out from goal. He's got two short options. He likes the look of Jack deep, sets it up. Lester made the spoil. Castagna followed it down. Lambert slapped it in to keep it alive. Rich was having none of it. It's out of play, 30 around from the goal front.
There's a lot about this game that's going to play out that I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is if you leave that man Dustin Martin to his own devices, then Brisbane can't win. So maybe it's Lions. Maybe he's the one that's just got to go to him.
You've got to come in with that plan, though, Gaz, don't you? To know that if it doesn't go right, that someone goes to him.
You'd think, Hutto, but
holding Brisbane.
He's doing the ruck work again.
But I mean, just as we had that discussion, he peeled out of a stoppage and found himself 40 metres in space on his own.
So he does the ruck work and gives away a free for the second time, and Brisbane through lines, sent it out to the wing, but it was always going to favour the only big guy there, and that was Nankervis. So they're just having a bit of trouble getting it out of defence in this second term so far, Brisbane. Nankervis sends it earnestly forward into the pocket. Not a great kick. And Revolt's given away the free in desperation. It's McInerney's ball. Chopped his arms.
Just back in there, Jack.
Doesn't look too pleased with the call, but it seemed to be there on the car sales monitor. Car sales, number 1 for cars. So Oscar wants to hand pass, which is fair enough. And the Brisbane kick, Starcevic kicks it along the wing. The tallest man there, Bolter, claimed it. The man in front, Rayner, also claimed that umpire didn't pay it to either. Bailey with a handball back to Neil, starting to get into the game, but this is their problem, intercept mark again.
Well, again, they're getting caught up. This is what we spoke about pre-game. They will hold their back 6, always. You go wandering off thinking or watching a game and find yourself sucked up the ground by 25 metres, you're not going to penetrate.
Boston takes it out to the wing. Asprey marks and kicks down the line. High, wide ball. Looks too wide from here. No, it's marked just by Castagna. Just inside the chalk. So with Richmond's lead 6, Dusty's gone deep. Gardner trails him in now. Castagna. Got Chol as well. Revolt in front. Wasn't sure whether to fly. Left it to Rioli and Chol to do the leaping. Trying to step through Archie, did it well. Handball to Neil, who didn't want to panic. Off to Lester, forced on his left, hampered the kick. It's up and under. Flostone usually gobbles it up, not this time. Cameron came with his pace and did well to at least split the contest for Brisbane and get it out. But there's signs of frustration.
Well, that was again, Boston marks those 8 out of 10, and that was just a pressure kick out of defence. They're going to try and use their legs, link up, maybe get the ball to the other side of the ground, but easier said than done against Richmond.
Right half forward for the Tigers, who lead it by a goal. McInerney won the tap. Nankervis took the footy. McInerney for the second time wins a holding the ball. Free kick, and Zorko trots away to claim the advantage. Had a bounce and then blazed it out on the full.
I can see you showing on Monday night like 5 or 6 of these clips, Gaz, already.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look up and you just see him positioned there and you say, well, where are the forwards? Well, the forwards are getting sucked up high and they're sitting back just picking everything off.
Bolter with footy in hand goes long for the Tigers beyond halfway. Nankervis made the contest up. Dustin Martin glides through or pulls the kick so cleverly from the boundary into Castagna. He setters it up to Cochin. Has a look deep, runs to 55. Might be too clever by half as he's looking for Chol. It got through a couple and Harris Andrews was able to tidy up. He plays out the far side. Coleman against Short. The ball runs end over end. And the umpire says throw it in.
Great result for them. It gets them away from the traffic where they've been stuck on the other side of the ground. This is what they haven't been able to do. Change it up. Change the angle when they do go forward. But Richmond just haven't allowed them to. Richmond have been magnificent.
Richmond by 6 for Repco authorised service.
That's the best thing, Hutto. It's only 6.
AFL Nation for McDonald's. The Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners from the throw. McInerney again, a forceful fist that gained them 3 metres. Another throw in.
Stefan, okay, thank you.
Trent Cotchin having a rest. He certainly played his part. Issues for Chris Fagan. Damien Harburg just munching away from the throw in. Martin this time takes his turn in the ruck. Tapped it down. Lambert slapped it away. Preston didn't get all of it, but his toe poke was enough to set them in motion again. They're on the charge. Graham to Edwards. He wanted it back. He got it back. Now Chol Andrews cuts across. Cut the angles well. Put the fist, but has to pursue it again. There's Richmond players everywhere. Castagna from the corner. The centering ball. Dusty. Crashed the pack. Revolt the other way. It's still alive. Scooped up by Lambert. Then he had difficulty getting rid of it. Fearsome tackle from Revolt. I think it was Neil under all of that. It's going to be a ball up.
Thanks, Jack.
They're relentless, the Tigers.
Yeah.
They are just relentless on a loose footy, refusing to allow the way through for Brisbane to come and exit out of their back half. It's just lived in the half of Richmond at the moment.
Goal apiece in this second term for Repco authorised service. Steph Martin knocked it down to Dusty. Martin kick was smothered by Mitch Robinson. Revolt had to go with a hand pass. Robinson with an errant boot, lucky not to do any damage. He's still fighting in there with Arts and the like, and it'll be tossed back to the umpire to ball up. So Chol and Steph Martin to compete over the ball up. Chol flew over the top, knocked it goal side. Robinson edged it clear for the Lions, and Neil is there to gather and kick them out to half-back, looking for a bit of a reprieve. McInerney made the spoil. Ball near the boundary. Grimes had to go. Pickett did well. Out to Pickett to Edwards. Lightning hand pass, but Bolton was hot. Coleman had him cold. Wrapped him up.
Yeah, that's better from Coleman. Coleman comes up and puts some pressure on the defender. No easy rebound, or the midfielder in this case, with Bolton pushing back.
Tapped down by Chol, this time charging through Edwards, had an impact. Presty released the handball, but straight back to Edwards. And that's holding the man.
Ball spilt out, and he went on with it. It was unlucky, but at least he's showing a bit of intent and aggression, Coleman.
So it's Edwards' footy. He's on the logo right now.
Yeah, great kick. But I mean, there's 3 Brisbane players who think the ball's not going there, and it goes there.
Hurley contemplates. And then heads most logically forward. Chol lifting up was Martin, got the tap away. That was Brisbane's Martin to Archie. Spun through the tackle, a handball off to Berry. Slapdash kick, it's on the full again. Forward pressure, Haddo. Forward pressure. There's no head up, space and time coming out of the back half of Brisbane here at all. So Grimes to launch it back. Has a little tentative look around. He got someone to handball it off to. That was Prestia. High ball to the square. Chol and Revolt both flew. Chol threatened to take mark of the year. He couldn't complete the job. Again. A hand off to Berry. It's another skyscraping kick, and Hipwood makes it his own and takes the tumbling Glenn Cameron can-do mark of the day contender. It's still Richmond by 6 for Repco authorised service. Brisbane under severe pressure. Can they find a way out?
They've got to find some fluent possession. Across the face of goal for Andrews and out to Robinson. Kicks on the 45. Lester has it at the arc, gives it away to Rich. Rich goes back out the far side. So they tried the near, they're trapped on the far. Lyons sold the dummy, opened the field up ahead. His kick wasn't great and Cochin was utterly committed. Brought it to ground, but then he's tackled there, had to release it. Coleman charges in. Hooley lays a tackle to ensure that it doesn't come out. Neil's the last to hold it. Trent Cotchin's been superb, boys. His ability just to cover and not only take accountability from man, but protect the back half. When for the first time Brisbane looked dangerous, he was there. Lions are on starvation rations in this second term. Right half forward. Steph Martin taps it down. Lions worked off it. Chol wrenches it clear. Hand pass for Lambert. Paddles it away to Prestia. Loose hand pass. It gives the Lions a look. Starcevic trying to barge his way through. Did enough. Got it to Berry. Now to McCluggage. Worked his way through 50. Cameron against the boundary. Had a devil of a time picking it up. And by the time he got it, Grimes had him out over the boundary. They've got to grit the teeth, Brisbane. They've got to take it on.
So, that's my question. Do they take it on or do they try and slow the game down a bit?
No, well, this is the first time they got inside 50. They got it in there because they moved the ball from one side to the other in the back half. They didn't come back out the same way.
From the throw down, Curvis the tap. McStay stayed in the mix, but it filled Richmond's way. Lambert's handball a little wild and woolly. Lyons gets it off to Neil, then to Archie. Squeezed as he kicked it. And it's on the full. Can I
just highlight that bit? That's Arts, a small forward, putting relentless pressure on Archie and winning the ball back because the ball goes out of bounds on the full.
Beneficiary is Basher Hooley at left half back. Richmond's lead is still slender at 6 for Repco authorised service. A high ball gives the Flyers a chance to rise. Revolt did the rising but couldn't take the mark. Neil's able to scoop it up for Brisbane. A handball to Archie. Nonchalant little give along the line. Berry tumbles one forward. A bit of fortune in that. Bailey gets the kick and Hipwood's not paid the mark. He fumbled it. It gushes out the side. Great tackle by Asprey. Brings things to a halt. And McCluggage could barely move a muscle after that. Hipwood really dropped one he should have taken, looking at the car sales replay. Number 1 for cars.
So the Lions with a chance at a stoppage deep forward. Cochin, though, gets hold of it, clears the area, bounces it beyond the defensive 50 and sees it turn out of play.
So can they keep this ball? 80% of this ball's been in Richmond's half in this second quarter. So they've got to give their defenders a breather by putting forward pressure on here. The last 3 minutes, it looked like they've said, we've got to get moving again and start to attack the footy more.
Tigers by a goal, thrown in. Steph Martin wins the tap. McCluggage had a chance, couldn't quite gather. Nankervis has a go. Hand pass was okay. Cochin knocked it out to the side. Edwards gave it a Prestia, whose kick was smothered.
Cochin magnificent through the middle of the ground. Presti's walked back into this side and just started finding footy again. We've spoken about Martin. Their midfield's been on top, but Lockie Neal's starting to just have an impact in the match.
They've just started to amp their own pressure up back the other way, haven't they?
Yep.
At the throw in, Nankervis knocks it the Tigers' way. Bolton, look away, hand pass to Prestia, put it out in front of Nankervis. So did enough to stand in the tackle, but got no penetration on the hand pass. McCluggage's kick is charged down by Dustin Martin. It's out of bounds. 5-1 to 4-1. We've got 6.5 to play on the Makito and Power Means business clock. It's the Tigers leading.
Scoring just drying up a little bit.
Thought that'd be the case, Anthony.
We did. Hooked back into play by the boundary umpire, Stephen Martin. must get the free for that one. Give either the Ruckman and it is a free kick. We're just waiting to be sure as to whose it is.
So they've enjoyed their best 3, 4, 5 minutes here, Brisbane.
It was actually going to Jared Lyons, I think, who plays it short to Zorko. Quick glance up into the 50. It's into the lead of Hipwood. Bolter almost got in his back, and Coleman trots over the line, ball in hand. Dusty's gone quiet. He hasn't touched the ball for at least 2.5 minutes.
He's at 11, Dusty. He's just had a little spell, little breather.
That's best on the ground, with Prestia also on 11.
All possessions are in the forward half of the ground for Dustin.
Steph Martin wins the tap. Cameron, sharp hand pass picked off by Edwards. Prestia to Koch, got run down by Coleman, who's been terrific.
Yeah,
this boy, tackling pressure.
This boy's changed the attitude of the game a bit.
A bit high with his kick to full forward. Bailey was an unlikely flyer. Didn't time it all right. Hooley towed it up to Bolter. The Tigers clear the defensive area. It's into open play. Lions will arrive first through Andrews. Sharp hand pass away to Starcevic. Dropped it onto the right boot and found a target in Archie up at half forward. He has a good look deep inside the 50. He'll chance his arm into the pocket. McStay was a long way back. Steph Martin underneath. Trickled at goal side where it's hammered through for a rush behind by Grimes. 5 points the Tigers lead on the Repco authorised service scoreboard.
So for all their perceived dominance, the Tigers, and the margin's at 5 points here, and they haven't been able to hurt Brisbane on the scoreboard, perhaps as much as they should have, given how much control they've had in the game.
Lions have now had the last 5 entries into the 50 as the Tigers play the possession game on the way out, but they haven't got there yet. Short marks from the Asprey kick, and then he is held up, and it's a real pop kick over the top to Rioli, which does get them a little further out of defence, but not too much further. So he also, in his horizon, there's plenty of players up along the wing. He'll take the gains that are on offer. Short this time to Lambert. Richmond by 5 for Repco authorised service. Lambert bangs it much further towards half forward now. Lions defenders spoil successfully down to Archie. Rush kick, Tigers well placed to mark, and Short does that on the juggle.
So they know Brisbane have had the last 5 or 6 inside 50s here, so they're just taking a bit of heat out of it, Richmond.
Rayner and Cochin deeply engaged with each other. The play is somewhere over in the middle of the ground. The Tigers steer it inside 50. Leicester had first play, dropped the mark. Zorko tries to help him out. Revolt disrupts the flow. McCarthy might have been taken without it. Edwards kept it alive from a Richmond perspective. Dustin Martin dispossessed just to the side of the pack. Arts took them on, got caught, hand passed it for the boundary. Umpire says all clear, throw it in. Lions fans less certain about that. Howling for a free kick, which was not forthcoming. 4 to go on the Makito and Power Means business clock. Tigers by 5. 55 out from their goal at the boundary throw-in. Steph Martin taps it down to the front and follows up with a hand pass to McCluggage. Outside of the boot to take a bit of territory into centre field. Floston disrupted the pack, dropped the mark. Paddled to the side for Baker. Dicey hand pass to Edwards. Put it into the back of Hooley, who does gather to Baker to Hooley. He works it around to the middle to Prestia. They pull the trigger on the kick in the revolt direction. It cleared them. Leicester races back. So too Dusty. He's worked off it. Birchall with a hand pass to Robinson. Then to Gardner. Knocked off his kick. Birchall did enough. Found Zorko right against the boundary.
It's starting to get a bit slippery, isn't it? You can just start to see it's getting more difficult. 3 minutes remaining. Bit of torture out there for the players late in the second. High ball to the wing. Crashing the pack was bolted. The disruption allowed Hooligan entry. A dribbling kick forward shut down. McCluggage hands ashore through Neal to Lyon. He softened it on the bounce. Sits up for Hipwood. Runs his arc. Now here's Rayner's moment. Trots through half forward. Kicks to the vacant square. We wait. A true bounce. And Brisbane are in front. The Rayner man, as Jared Healy has dubbed him about 3 years ago. And he's finally starting to live up to the hype. He kicks a critical goal. And the Lions are in front.
Fantastic goal by Cam Rayner. But I want to go back to this young man, Maine Coleman. I don't know how many games has he played?
He's played, this is his 5th game.
He has changed, I said the attitude. He's changed the attitude of the game. The game up to the point where he started to lay some really hard tackles was a dominant Richmond, and they were a bit more passive. I thought Brisbane started to get too passive. He just came in and laid 3 big aggressive tackles, and it seemed to have energised the rest of them, and they've enjoyed the last 5 or 6 minutes here. Rayner had to make a decision. He's kicked that from 60, I reckon, to an open goal square and drilled it. He's got talent, this boy, and they are almost unbelievably in front, Brisbane. This is a sign of maturity and development.
For what they had to absorb, it is meritorious to find the lead late in the opening half. For Repco authorised service, 5-2 to 5-1. In the middle, Nankervis tries. He paddled it out the back for Bolton. Set upon. McCarthy wrapped him up. Ball up.
I haven't got ground ball here, but I reckon the ground ball numbers have gone through the roof for Brisbane in this last 10 or 15 minutes. They've just been able to get their hands on ball that's gone to ground.
McInerney clean down to Berry under duress. Released it near Rayner. Yes, McCarthy's legs were taken in the skirmish as Cochin so committed to the footy. So McCarthy out of the middle for the Lions. Hand pass to Rich. He pulls the trigger on the kick. McInerney should have marked. He was up. He had it. He came down without it. He got contact from Floston, and it was just enough to jar it clear.
Was it chopping or not?
Well, we want to know how he got contact on McInerney.
Midriff, wasn't it? Stretched up.
Oh,
yeah, it was under the arm.
Yeah,
it was under the arm.
okay.
McInerney will get the tap. It's just hacked away by Baker, so the blind hack has been picked off by Starcevic, 51 metres from goal.
Now they're more aware, Richmond. Look at him get around Daniel Rich here. Dustin can go to Daniel Rich, who's down next to Starcevic, but Daniel Rich has gone to Starcevic and said, take your time here, young man. You must like him from this distance.
Can kick it a long way. And really, from the moment he took the mark, he was absolutely committed to this course of action. Brandon Starcevic, one of the true gains for the Lions throughout this season. One of the measurable improvements. He'll be kicking from the front line of the centre square. Starcevic gives it everything he's got. It was a poor kick. It hung out to the behind post. Steph Martin was in front, and it slipped away and out of play.
Jeez, I don't know what Daniel Rich was doing. He's going to talk him into it. This is great, though. This is a big minute and a half here. Ball exactly where they want it. Tigers under some pressure. First time since the opening minutes.
Minute 21. It sits in the forward pocket, throw in McInerney. Cameron's on the move. He breaks the tackle. Does he kick the goal? Yes! We waited. We got the closest of close-ups, so we had no idea. But it was a goal. And Charlie's got the baby shark and the motorbike. He's got it all going. And there's a melee, a fracas. An old-fashioned party at Donnybrook.
I bet you Mitch Robinson's not far away.
He's there. Mitch is there.
He's in the middle of it.
Flostone's there. Bolter's there.
Hey, I tell you what, there was a moment where Cameron Rayner and Trent Cochin went at it back out in that wing, and Cochin said, nah, I'm not having any of this. And the setup here was magnificent. And I tell you what, it was short. That we'll learn a lesson in this. You don't turn your back on the play and try and face Charlie Cameron at a stoppage. It was a great setup. Then there was a blue. I'm just trying to see how it started.
Cochin and Mitch, I think.
Yeah. But Charlie's up and going. So the goals have been Cameron Rayner Cameron, which bodes well for Brisbane. But don't underestimate Rayner just physically with Cochin standing up and then going back and kicking a goal.
So it's the Lions by 7 points with a minute 10 to play on the Makito and Power Means business clock.
And this is where a great Richmond side dig their heels in here.
It's a big 70 seconds. Nankervis down to Prestia. Walsh's out of the middle. Put it on the outside of the boot. Revolt toppled into the pack. He dropped the mark on the way down. Graham feeds it out the side. McIntosh threatens to pounce. Just the double handle on the footy, so had to retreat to Arts. Rifled it inside. It ricocheted the way of Graham, found its way to Bolton, hand pass to Nankervis, kick to full forward. It was intended for Joel. Andrews got in the way. It's still loose. Pickett threw it. Threw it to Rioli.
That's 50.
Bolton's kicked it. It has to be 50.
Hey, thank you.
That's 50. And this momentum that it's been hard won, they're going to carry into half-time here, Brisbane.
And they'll get a late chance from somewhere in the middle.
Is it another 50?
Don't know.
Hey, boys.
Get off the fight.
There's another fracas starting to grow, build in the middle, we think.
The umpires just want a sec to figure all of this out.
250s.
Is it? Don't know.
I think they're goal side and centre circle.
Okay, yeah, it is. It's a double 50, and it's Lockie Neal.
Daniel Rich could swing around on the left there.
Yeah. No, he went in front of the mark. You can't do
He
that.
could have gone. Why didn't he go behind him? What's Dustin Martin doing, allowing him to do that?
So he's 55 metres out. There's 20 seconds on the clock now. It's going to take his absolute best. He wanted to hit the scoreboard more this year. He hasn't been able to kick straight until now. It's a big Lions bomb. And it's a massive Lions roar. Just on half-time, the goals have come one after the other. And it's Lockie Neal with the benefit of a double 50.
Marlon Pickett was the man that bowled over Dane Zorko. Dane Zorko would have been getting in his face. And then this kick. Lockie Neal didn't touch the footy in the first quarter. There's 20 seconds on the clock. He's inside the goal square, not renowned for his kicking. He's put that through goalpost high. Third in a row. Well, how impressive from Brisbane this last 10 minutes.
What a late spin. So in the 20th minute, the 24th minute and the 27th minute of the term. After being pinned in the corner for a good 8 minutes. But they didn't absorb the blows that Richmond would have liked to have landed. And they'll take a 13-point lead to half-time. And the Tigers have just been a bit frayed around the edges. Certainly the discipline has been off. So 5 seconds to play out in the half. Nankervis and McInerney are the tossed-up ball. Nankervis tapped to the side. Dusty is onto it, threw it onto the boot, but the siren sounds with it in mid-air.
Just stand by, please. Stand by. Don't just go to the ad just yet.
Harris Andrews full of bravado after his contest with Chol. And the Lions look to soak up this momentum as they head underneath the stadium.
They've missed Tom Lynch.
They have, and a couple of times Jack's been jumping over opponents as well. So the yap's still going out here, boys. So the Tigers, we know, the great champion team, go in having conceded 3 goals in a row when the heat was at its most, and that doesn't happen very often.
So it ended up being 4-1 to 1 goal for the term. It's a remarkable twist in the back half of it. 7-2-44 the Brisbane Lions over Richmond 5-1-31. That's on the Repco authorised service scoreboard. For expert car service you can rely on, visit repcoservice.com. Goal kickers, Charlie Cameron's booted 2, Neal, Rich, Rayner, McStay and McInerney, while for the Tigers, singles to Baker, Revolt, Cochin, Castagna and McIntosh. Such is the quality of the game that there's a few decent contenders for the goal of the night on your phone. Your driving blind TAC. Full thoughts coming up with Gary Lyon. What an intriguing stage in this game at halftime. In the NRL tonight, around the grounds for Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. Halftime, Panthers 22. Lead Roosters 10. This is AFL Nation for McDonald's. But the Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners, and Liquorland, always great value. Players out on the ground for the second half. It's the Lions 7-2-44 leading the Tigers 5-1-31. It's exactly the scenario, Gary Lyon, that the Lions would have dreamt of.
Yeah, momentum into half-time, crowd engaged. Charlie Cameron dangerous when they go forward. Lockie Neal back finding some footy. But, and the but is substantial, this is a great football side they're playing against, and they back their system. They won't change too much. They'll be aggressive when they get the ball in hand. They'll back themselves to win it in their back half and push forward. It's interesting to see with the role that Chol's playing with Jack Revolt. I just wonder at times whether he's been getting in the way, and whether they'll look at that as this game progresses. He's got to start marking the footy because he's not offering much else, maybe, at Chol. So Tom Lynch, we're getting a shot of in the grandstand. They're feeling he's lost big time at the moment. So right now you gravitate to Revolt, you go to him. You know, Andrews can come off his man a little bit and say, I think they need him to hit the scoreboard, him or Dusty. Big second half obviously coming up.
It's big, all right, on so many levels as the Brisbane Lions search to overcome a massive hoodoo and get the week off into the preliminary final. A 13-point advantage. Can they build on it? Can they hold it? They get it forward with Neil and Zorko, and then a powerful performance in the air from Jared Berry, who's going to kick from a similar position to Lachie Neale.
I'm interested in this. Berry's a midfielder come winger, and it just looks to me like he might be responsible for Nick Vlosten now. Not so much to do this. This is the bonus. Maybe the role is to not let him intercept Mark, but if he goes back and drills this on the back of the way the game swung in the last 10 minutes, Chris Fagan can do no wrong. The master coach.
Injured his shoulder late in the season, proved his fitness. His kick will be a little closer than Lachie Neale's. It's directly in front. It's still got to carry every bit of 51 metres in the distance. Proved to be an issue in the end as he dragged it left.
I like the coaching move, though, if indeed it is. If Berry goes to Vlosten to put some work into him, I like that. It's aggressive from Fagan.
For Stockdale and Lego, the coaching moves. Hooley into the back pocket for Astbury. Astbury has a look long beyond the defensive 50. He's got nothing else to work with, so he's going to have to pull the trigger on that kick. Revolt comes from a long way back. Grimes is in the van as well. Gardner worked his way out. Hand pass to Hipwood. He's toppled down off the kick. Cotchin works in and gets it at the defensive 50. Knocked away from Pickett. Bailey working hard underneath. Hooley wraps him up. Ball it up. Be 50 out from the Lions goal. So Berry is with Flostone as gets a look at a wider shot. Neale rove the tap of McInerney, kicked across the 50-metre perimeter, gathered by Starcevic, lobs it up beyond Berry. Flostone went to ground. Berry pounces on the footy, got away from Grimes, pulls the kick to the hot spots. Coleman flew, didn't mark, and Baker pulls it away.
And suddenly has Bolter running, receiving and blasting. Joel will wait. He'll shrug off Andrews, who went to ground. Big opportunity for Mabiashole. He stumbled. He's tackled. He handballed in hope more than anything. First to it, Castagna. Backing him up, Prestia. Quickly to boot. He didn't really have a chance to get stable, and it's marked instead by Leicester, who gets it across to Birchall, who's got so many options. An infinite number, it would seem. He kicks wide to the wing. They're advancing again. Pumped up kick by Bailey McStay. Met in the air well by Nankervis, who got it to Astbury, who handballs to Hooley. Got through the first tackle. Skimmed a kick out to the wing. Good full-chested leap from Castagna. Hugs in the mark. It's a 14-point advantage to the Lions. For Liquorland, always great value.
That's as open as we've seen the game that last minute.
Castagna gives it all he's got up towards the 50. Dustin Martin had the field against him. Ball gets to the back. Prestia hunts it back. Tapped it to his own advantage. Gave it to Chol. Fired it to McIntosh, who hit the right-hand post and set it rocking to and fro. It's a let-off for the Lions. The margin is 13 points for Ripco authorised service.
So we called for Mabia Chol to do something. He's had a couple of good moments in this third quarter. Got himself involved.
Short to Rich. He's deep, though, in defence, and he kicks off one step. It'll clear the defensive 50. Berry made a contest. It got out the back, and for a moment, McCarthy threatened, but the boundary line proved too close.
About here, guys.
45 plays 32. Repco authorised service for expert car service you can rely on. Repcoservice.com is where to head. McInerney toiling away. He got the better of Nankervis body-wise. Nankervis actually touched it, but McInerney grabbed it and set it towards Rayner. That time it was Rayner versus Flostone, and Flostone gets it out.
Oscar, Toby, same again.
Shots of Caddy, Lynch, Markov. The car sales monitor, number one for cars. How they'd love to have Tom Lynch out there, but they didn't want to take the risk. The cost of it could be a victory. Who knows? From the throw, Zorko rounded it up, and it was a high tackle.
It's a high tackle. Dane Zorko, got him in the head.
The Lions and Edwards seemed a little oblivious to it all.
I think he was testing the water, Jared Lyons. If he get a shake in that tackle, he would have kept going.
Zorko plays it again off one step. McInerney went through his fingertips. 40 from goal. Rayner, lovely hands. It freed up Charlie, who should goal and does. He's got 3 to electrify the Gabba.
Wouldn't want anyone else with 3, the Brisbane Lions, and it's the Rayner and Charlie show. There's a bit of the Cracker Brothers about them right now. Just acutely aware of each other. good, strong contest up in that forward 50. If you get the strong contest, then the small, this is the whole difference. Richmond were marking those balls when they're going inside 50 early. Now the ball's coming to ground, and Rayner and Cameron are having a little field day. So it's gone Cameron, Rayner, Cameron, Neil, Cameron. So massive same proceedings. And McInerney just involved. Oh, it's a nice give from Cam Rayner. Just held it back beautifully, and all of a sudden now this great Richmond defence are on the back foot. Don't know whether, and this is the whole football game in a nutshell. These forwards now are starting to gain control, and they will dictate where this Richmond defence goes, and that's a win.
It's a Bendix Breaks, big moment. Put your foot down with confidence, Bendix Breaks. The mind starts to wander at 19 points. Bounce in the middle.
Don't count them out.
Nan Curvis took it clean. Kicks the Tigers forward, but not with any great penetration. Lambert with a hand pass to Dustin Martin. Can he ignite things? Kick inside 50s, cut off by Harris Andrews.
And if they want Jack to be the man to set him alight, he's going to have to go through Harris Andrews, the All-Australian fullback.
Andrews just leans on the kick, keeps it inside the defensive 50 for Leicester.
Play on now, you're round. Play on.
Stepped off his line. You heard the umpire call him. So Leicester long down the interchange wing to a 5-man pack. Steph Martin guides it to ground rather cleverly for Neil. Back to Martin wide. He was hoping Neil might run onto it, but the boundary will do. Throw it in. The free kick count at the moment is Richmond's 5, the Lions 13.
Damien Hardwick did mention in his half-time interview that the umpires are a touch trigger happy.
Trigger happy. At the throw-in. Bolton might have been held off the footy, and he will receive the free kick forward of halfway. The Tigers look for a bit of fluency, for a foothold in this third term. Just a high ball in the revolt direction. He's able to bring it to ground out the side. Graham dashed onto it but couldn't gather. It is out of bounds.
So Leicester stays with revolt, but Harris Andrews is the player that's going to come off. And so whoever Andrews has got has to become a dangerous, realistic option. Otherwise, the Tigers might battle to claw this back.
And Rappard does his thing. Revolt doing the rucking against Martin. He tapped it to the front. McCluggage overran it, allowed access for Graham, and then Revolt. Lions win it back though. McCluggage's kick eked forward, marked by Starcevic. The dash provided by Bailey. He ran and kicked blindly. The cupboard was bare forward. The race is on. Handicapper has favoured Bolter, and he chips it short and gets it back on Richmond's terms. Rioli takes a breath, and then a handball, and then the duck and the weave from short. They closed in. He lost his footing. McCluggage has got it. McInerney didn't take possession. Cameron held without the footy. No whistle. Graham got it, lost it, tap forward Rayner. If Hipwood kicks this, the place will erupt. It's on the full.
Yep. Well, they're now playing the irrepressible, just charge it forward and push it forward and tackle. It's very Richmond-esque at the moment. And the Tigers, well, for the first time in a long time, they look to be struggling with the pressure.
You can look in the back play and see a Lions player or two doubled over with the exertion of it all. They're in for the kill right now. Long kick beyond the defensive 50. Bailey ripped off the footy, knocked out of Revolt's hands. Pickett missed his initial target. Lambert has it eventually. Hand pass to Nan Curvis, straight into a tackle.
It's a line down.
Into it. Thank you, Toby.
And just that long shot we saw then, Dustin Martin looks to be the one out forward at the moment. So Damien Hardwick has gone to his... Well, no, I'm not saying it's his absolute last option, but it's not a bad one.
McCluggage at the source, kicks the Lions forward again. Rayner against Grimes. Rod Grimes made the spoil. Pickett played for the boundary. McCluggage was happy to drive him out over it.
And I'm just looking at Rayner now, Rayner with Grimes, and saying, okay, that's your matchup. Don't let him be the floating intercept man. If, in fact, Berry's got Vlosten, that's your man. I love that from Chris Fagan.
Lions by 19, thrown in at half forward. Steph Martin reaches in, wins the tap. Bolton, though, for the Tigers underneath. Fakes the way back to centre field. And then it's an inexplicable kick straight to Steph Martin, who was about 5 metres away. And Martin wasted it as he kicked it out on the full. Perhaps he took shock as well that it was suddenly in his grasp.
He just tried to adjust the kick at the last moment. Bolton made a real meal of it. Short back to the wing. Stephen Martin, the double teaming in the ruck is starting to really take its toll.
Yeah, indeed. He and McInerney have been really good tonight.
7 contested marks to 2 over the night in Brisbane's favour. Martin's kick just held up a little. It's okay. It's marked by Jared Lyons in front of Pickett. McInerney doubles back. He comes up to the footy and he can't gobble it. The fist from Bolter, short, a slight fumble. McCarthy kept it in. No, off the left.
So they are making the Richmond defenders and mids to compete one out. Pickett v Lyons, one out in a marking contest is not what Marlon Pickett's known for.
Margin is 20 for Repco authorised service.
Floston on the kick in, wanders out into the right back pocket. Kick was perfect to find the chest of Arts.
It's a beautiful kick. It's a sensational kick. They've got to get their ball movement happening again. They're conservative here down the line.
It's long to the wing. It'll take some marking. Harris Andrews was in front, brought it to ground. Castagna dispossessed. It spills out the side. Bolton did okay to keep it away from the rampaging Robinson, and the ball is out in front of the interchange gates for Spitwater high pressure cleaners.
So Cochin trying to get it on off the boundary. He's the one that's got to spark him up. Dustin's the obvious one. They've got to find a spark somewhere. Preston is a mass footy, but it hasn't been breaking lines. Got to get it out of the congestion at the moment.
Thrown in at halfway. Ruckman went to ground. Steph Martin regains his footing in the nick of time. Hand pass to Neal, who didn't handle it initially but does come away with it. Gives it off to Berry. Pushed off his kick. It'll flop in short. Floston handled it brilliantly. Out to Prestia. The counter-attack comes. Short, sweeping hand pass to Pickett. Stepped his way out of trouble. Kicks it to the wing. And the mark's taken by Graham.
But the flow stemmed. They really threatened, didn't they, to that Richmond charge. Held up. Short pass is okay, though, to Lambert. So they've got to the right wing. It's a 20-point margin. 8 minutes remaining for Makita when power means business. Places it towards half forward. Cochin denied in the air by Gardner. Here's Dusty, basically flings it forward. Castagna gathers. He handballs to Rioli. Great take and a fantastic goal from Rioli. Took it at his bootstraps and somehow kicked it accurately across the body. Is that a little change in the game? It could be a big moment for Bendix Brakes. Put your foot down with confidence, Bendix Brakes.
No one's counting this team out, and the Cochin and Martin were the two we called for, and it was Cochin and Martin that got involved in the play to get the ball going forward. It is too simplistic to say they need those two to drive them across the line, but without them it's going to be a battle because they're not getting the sort of, the ball in the dangerous areas of the ground. It was a great chase and tackle. Turned the footy over, and the hit from Robinson on Vlosten was big. You just see here, if Dustin Martin first of all gets the ball involved, Castagna gets a footy on, and it's a fantastic finish from Rioli. Gee, he was clean below his knees, wasn't he?
Unbelievable.
A Furphy, refreshing ale, unbelievable.
Gaz is in trouble here.
8-4-52 Brisbane, 6-2-38 Richmond. On the Repco authorised service scoreboard. We're at the halfway mark of this third term. Chol flew early. Steph Martin waited down and won the footy. Kicks the Lions, but a bit shallow to half forward. Graham got back there for the Tigers. Turns his way down the wing and threads the pass beautifully for Arts. Arts gets himself moving from the boundary. High ball to half forward, rebound into the pack, brought it to ground, which was his mission. Cochin took it but coughed it up, gave it to Rich. Rich to McCluggage, works the lines out of defence initially, but Arts is back into the fray. Hand passes close to the boundary. Lambert guides them up to full forward. Plenty up in defence. What's underneath? Archie against Revolt. Archie worked it close to the boundary. He did it well to Lester to make sure it was the wrong side to be thrown in.
Arts has been important. The last couple of times they've gone forward, been providing a target as a way through. They've just struggled to get through half forward. Once they get through there, they look more likely to score. They battled. Arts has been the conduit the last couple of times.
Slight change in feel. 7 to go in the third. Tigers have kicked the last goal. Can they capitalise on that? No, a hurried kick out of there by McCluggage. Well spotted back by Grimes to knock it to the ground, but Lyons breaks away and then spoils his work by putting it on the chest of an opponent. That's Ashbury who takes the safe mark. 52 plays 38 for Repco authorised service. AFL Nation for Liquorland. Always great value. High kick well marked by Nan Curvis, almost surprisingly. Runs the arc onto the left boot. Deposits at 30 from goal. And when there was no free kick given, Chol thought he deserved it. The numbers were with Brisbane, and so was the mark as Robinson makes his play to the outer side. And then Charlie Cameron decides to put the brakes on.
It was an interesting choice to put the brakes on. He would have asked a few questions if he'd gone charging away or brought the kick inboard. Instead, he lags it backwards to Gardner. And Gardner has a look out the far side. Andrews leaves his post, and he's the link man on the wing. He kicks to half forward well. He comes inboard to Archie. So methodical stuff from the Lions. Archie pulls the kick out into the pocket. His target was Steph Martin. Bailey roves underneath, opens the goal front and snaps it through. A class piece of roving. That was smooth, Bailey. 20-point leaders again, the Lions.
Well, you'd have to say the decision in the end, and I was with you, Jared. I thought he should have kept going when they got out from their defensive half. But they squared the footy, they took some pace out of it and refused to kick down the line to a Richmond defence that are so good at winning the ball back in the air. And they changed direction, went slow, had no choice, then got a contest and got their front and square crummers. And when you have a look at it, they sort of all knew where they were going. Graham was the player that was responsible for Bailey, and he got inside him. So the contest came from Steph Martin, which was absolutely sensational. That's the contest that Marbia Child wasn't able to produce down the other end of the ground.
Scoreboard for Repco, authorised service, the Lions 9-4-58, the Tigers 6-2-38. We've gone 16 minutes of the third term on the Makita and Power Means business clock.
And we're back to 20 points. Centre bounce is a good one. Joel, he waited his time and he got the tap that time, but Edwards not as committed as Zorko. Came charging through. Sharon in hand. He got it to Berry, impeded him a hand pass. They've turned it over. Lambert to Martin. There's a free kick.
Come back.
It's Richmond's ball.
Come back here, Shy. Stand fair correction. Stand fair for
Maybe that's
Richmond.
why he's been so annoyed with the umpires are calling him Shy rather than Shay.
Shane.
Now it's Shane.
Yeah.
Shane Edwards.
Clear it out.
So it's a down the field. Oh, here we go.
Little hand off to short. He's their version of Daniel Rich. This would be a monster. It's to the line. And Curvis looked likely. Shoal has to play Rover. And it's socked through by Archie.
Well, now Curvis is the one that's pushing down now to try and provide a contest. What did you say?
I don't know.
God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
19 points. Rich leaves the defensive goal square on the kick in. And he goes as far as he can, which is a long way. It cleared the contest, in fact. Floston got dispossessed by Berry. He went back and won it back. Hand pass to Bolter, who paddled it for the boundary. 5 to go in the third term. 2 goals to 1 the Lions' way in it. Right half forward for Richmond at the throw-in. McInerney and Chol. Chol to the front. Tapped it down. Edwards went past it. Zorko socketed off the turf. It actually touched a few different boots on the way through and spilled back out of play.
Short version of the game, Gaz. What's a lead that is almost unattainable, do you think, in the last
Well, another goal to Brisbane here without an answer would make life really difficult for Richmond. Nankervis has gone forward to provide the option. That's where they're struggling. Charles had to go into the ruck.
Chol wins the tap. Lions have good representation underneath, though. Neal, hand pass to Starcevic. High ball down the wing. Pickett went back with the flight. Steph Martin jarred it clear and Coleman came through. Hand pass to Berry. Scunged the kick forward. Well gathered reasonably by McStay. Off the ground went Robinson. 1-on-1 deep. Rayner at the back. He pounces on the footy. Floston wraps him up. Ball it up.
They'll do. And I know they didn't mean it, but dirty ball there. Works for them. Just scunged. I think you used the word scunged. It's as good as anything going forward against Richmond when you've got Cameron and Rayner inside 50. Cameron dangerous. Grimes has got him.
Ever dangerous. He's on the move again. McInerney tried to do it himself. It went to Coleman. Rayner, they scrambled 15 metres out from goal. Hooley knocked it away. The danger is still very much present. Bolton did wonderfully well against Zorko. Squeezed the kick out of there. Rounded up by Birchall into a tackle immediately from Castagna, and it goes out.
I love Stephen Martin's game, boys. Yeah. He's been huge tonight.
There's a lot of questions coming in. How big an advantage would that be, wasn't it?
Starting to tell, and it's not going to get any easier for this Richmond duo. Maybe a child's just It's finding out that home and away footy and finals footy are two different prospects.
He just gets to the ruck contest. He comes over the top of Martin. He did well. He sharked. Then he fumbled the greasy footies, being harassed by Berry, but the handball was released into space. Edwards a bounce and a kick to Rioli. He was a bit heavy-handed on the nudge. He reckons he was done with a forearm, but the umpire has a different view of it.
It's just losing a bit of shape. I mean, that's where you expect Dustin Martin to be in this situation, don't you? So they're losing a little bit of where they are, and I've loved Berry on Vlosten. I think that was Dustin in that marking contest. But I've loved the fact that these forwards are taking responsibility for defenders.
Berry from left, half back. Key to clock when power means business, 3 minutes 38. Rayner looked almost likely to take the mark. He didn't. At ground level, short. Good service through to Pickett by hand. He seemed a little lost for a moment, maybe because there was just nothing for him ahead. He kicked it anyway, and it's marked. And I think by Harris Andrews, it looked like Damon Hart was about to blow a gasket there.
Well, they're getting a bit of their own medicine,
yep,
Hutto. So
are.
they're putting Brisbane are putting pressure on Richmond. Richmond are just bombing indiscriminately forward, and Harris Andrews is having a picnic.
Margin is 19 points. He laid it off to Rich, who unloaded down the wing. To the contest, McStay flew from the side, knocked it clear. Castagna, though, underneath, fed it forward to the play, but it was a blind hand pass. Lyons to McCluggage, up to Steph Martin, dropped it onto his boot. It was an ugly ball going forward. Hooley cut it off. Hand pass to the side for Bolton. Wants the overlap run of Bolter. He paddles it forward to the play rather cleverly to Rioli. Cuts back inboard, took them on, had a bounce. Nudged off his kick by the chase of Archie, and it fell in short. McCluggage to Lyons to Robinson. He's kicked it inside 50. Zorko's got 3 against him. Flostone knocked it down. Zorko made an honest contest. Steph Martin jarred it clear. Charlie Cameron got caught by Pickett. It's almost in slow motion. Pickett threatens to rise with it. Zorko plucked it out. Hand pass to McCluggage, and Berry is unmarked forward to the play.
Put this down to one of those rewards that I always forget to mention. The Archie chase on Rioli and got an arm to him and caused the McCluggage turnover at half-back results in this goal. He kicks this goal. Only the very, very best of Richmond pulls it in the last quarter. And they're not at their very best.
This is simply a test of nerve for Jared Berry. He's close in, and there is no angle to negotiate. To make it a 25-point lead, Berry jabbed at it and missed right. It's all above the shoulders in a moment like that.
Wow.
The margin is 20. It's a Bendix Breaks big moment.
Wow.
It's going to get massive, that moment, if Richmond mount a comeback.
Oh, I tell you, Hutto, that is huge.
Oh, I hope for Jared Berry's sake. They stumble a bit on the way out. Richmond, a high ball for Hooley to the wing. The high-flying Archie matched by Arts. It bounces out.
Because that's the icing on what's been a beautifully produced cake in the third quarter. It is to isolate and make the defenders play honestly, Richmond defenders, and Berry gets a shot 20 metres out, having had Vlosten for most of the quarter.
Starcevich getting some treatment on the sidelines. It's a good spin move by Preston, but he lost his footing at the critical time. Lyons has been important. He hustles the kick forward. It looked as if Hipwood was going to take mark of the night, but it was denied. The fist came, and the Rovers are all Richmond shorts. Kick off one step was exemplary. He finds Nankervis, and they have a mind to attack off left half back. Cochin, terrible kick though. The intercept was on. Neal swatted it away. Martin's handball inconclusive, not as decisive as it might have been. It's a Brisbane ball again. Gardner gave it to Bailey and then said, hang on a moment. Bailey's off, runs through the opening, kicks it deep. Is this a Brisbane McStay mark? No. At the back, McCluggage fluffs his lines. The two young emerging midfielders, Berry first and then McCluggage, have not been able to convert, and it hangs on 21 points.
That's from 10 metres out.
Yep.
These are the two blokes we said were going to emerge from this game with reputations enhanced. They've both been really good, but when the moment has come, they've failed them.
They have. Short bombs it in long. Revolt flies at the pack. He's working underneath as well. He toes it forward, but only as far as Neal. He's won a couple of key balls in the last minute or two. Kick into the pocket, knocked away from Cameron and out of play. To put context around it, we're being told that you asked about the shortest form of the game. 16 points is the biggest three-quarter time deficit overcome this season.
Really?
It's 21 points now, and it should be more. There's 19 seconds to go in the third term. The Lions have it in attack. Tap down road by Cochin. Clears the area initially. Gardner made a telling spoil. Neil hunts the footy. Works the hand pass. Coming out was Hipwood. Bounced off. Gave it to Coleman. Does he have the nerve? No, he got run down. Oh, what a save by Asprey. The miss of Berry. The miss of McCluggage. And right at the death, Asprey with a goal-saving tackle as Coleman threatened to put it perhaps beyond reach. It's 21 points at three-quarter time. The Tigers are hanging on, but only hanging on. 9-6-60 Brisbane. Richmond 6-3-39. It grew from 13 points to 21 points. On the Repco authorised service scoreboard. For expert car service you can rely on, visit repcoservice.com. Cameron's booted 3. 1 each to Neil, Rich, Rayner, McStay, Bailey and McInerney. While for Richmond, their singles, Baker, Revolt, Cochin, Castagna, Rioli and McIntosh. Around the grounds in the NRL tonight, Chemist Warehouse, great savings every day. The Panthers 28 lead the Roosters 22. 73 minutes have gone. Full thoughts coming up at Gary Lyon on AFL Nation. For McDonald's, the Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners, and Liquorland, always great value. 21 points the Lions lead at three-quarter time. Gary Lyon.
Oh, I've just loved the game. I think it's fantastic. I think Chris Fagan had a fantastic quarter, a fantastic third quarter. He went and made Grimes and Vlosten accountable, which is not to say that they don't, but they're so good at getting off. But Rayner and Berry, particularly early Berry, just said, no, you've got to go to Vlosten. You've got to engage him. You've got to make sure he can't mark one out. And Rayner as well with Grimes. So he was involved with Cameron. Just a sensational quarter of football. At one stage, Rioli gets back in. They get it to within 14 points, and then a sign of maturity and really nice, composed ball use. You know, took some time off the clock, went round, went wide, got it in long. Bailey front and squares the goal. Look, 21 points. Was it 16 points? Was that what you said is the biggest margin to come back? Well, if anyone can, Richmond can. So that's the bottom line. That's why we sit here with such anticipation. But you get a sense that Brisbane have matured. You get a sense that they've learnt their lessons from last year. From physically from halfway through that second quarter, they have engaged and I think almost surpassed Richmond. Now the question is, Richmond lost their shape. I think three-quarter time came at a good time. They lost their shape and particularly forward of the ball. There were times there where you thought, this is Dusty time. But Dusty was up at half forward and it was Rioli that was one out in the goal square. So I'd imagine it's Dusty going deep inside forward 50 and he learns as the man most likely to turn this around. No great science in that.
I'd love to know the tone of Damien Hardwick. Then he looked very serious. I don't think he was shouting, but I'd love to know how much of that was motivational or some sort of emotional level.
It would have been affirmation. We are the best team in this competition. We have been in this position before. We know what we're capable of doing. Lachie Neale's had 15 touches after being possessionless in the first quarter and has a big say on proceedings.
Yeah, 9 contested, 3 tackles, plenty of inside 50s. Are they the premiership favourites if they win, Gaz, do you think?
Brisbane? Yeah. Each of 2 with the Port Adelaide, I think.
Yeah. Opening bounce of the final term for Tyre Power. $100 FPOS card with selected Maxi tyres. What a half hour is in store. McInerney decisively with the opening tap, but short came off half back. It's the Tigers who bring it to 50 first. Rich with the spoil, and it was a good spoil at that. Knocked it away to Neil. His kick was partially smothered, and Short is onto the ricochet. Brings it inboard for Prestia. Met by Zorko. Charged into him. Stuck the tackle. Wins holding the ball.
Leading possession went on the ground, Prestia, but I tell you what, it's not going to get easier for him in this last frantic quarter. He hasn't played any footy for a long time.
Zorko's desperate to move it. He got under his kick a little. He lands it inside the 50. Hipwood had a leap at the pack. It was knocked away and out of play. 45 around from the Lions goal fronts.
Great, held on. He held on, Zorko, as a captain should. Great result.
So the Lions with the opening foray of this final term with a 21-point lead. Scholl reached up and won the tap. Hand pass came forward from Neil, though. Back into dispute. Baker working hard underneath. Zorko's kick was smothered by Cochin, who was wholehearted. Slapped forward by Edwards to the boundary. They had a good claim to deliberates. And they have been paid deliberates.
With Charlie Cameron, leaders at 21. A minute has gone by. High kick. McStay launched almost. Quickly kicked away by Asprey, but they were lining up. Brisbane Lions, and Lachie Neale says he's going to have a shot, and who's the umpire to argue he's kicked one from this far earlier on tonight?
So he gets the 30 seconds, yeah. He can't argue with this, and this is smart from Lachie Neale. He said, I'll take the 30 and then look very quickly.
Pass. And he does pass. And he finds Jared Lyons, who thought they were coming for him, and they weren't, but he hangs on to the mark. It'll take his very best.
So it's the balance now that they're finding themselves with a 21-point lead is we don't want to just go slow and open the door for Richmond. But when the opportunity presents itself, we will take time off the clock. And that is a great example of it.
So Makita, when power means business, clock will be important numbers if Richmond do make their charge. This kick is 45 metres, and it never really threatened. It was a tightish angle, but certainly a gettable goal, and that's 4, I think, that could have been kicked by Brisbane since the last.
So you've got to have the nerve to land the knockout blow. 22 points is the margin. Short kicks it long into play, and he does well to find Castagna. 65 from defensive goals where the mark was set. Castagna just couldn't work it on.
2-on-1 on Dusty down the line.
Hand pass to the side for Bolter. He takes the kick, and Martin is overwhelmed by the numbers. Andrews flies from the side. Hand pass to Gardner. It got through his legs initially, so he's under pressure and he's coughed it up. Lambert puts it forward to the play. Nankervis got taken high by Birchall.
And he was the other one. He's the one that Andrews came off to 2-on-1. Dustin Martin, so he needs to get dangerous, Nankervis.
Nankervis balked at the long kick initially, but he's presented with no other option. In the revolt direction, Chol flew into the same pack. Ball jarred out the side. Hipwood serving in defence. An unconvincing kick coming out. Charlie Cameron got caught with it. Ball spills the Lions' side of things with Neale, who's tackled by Prestia and Cochin.
That gives you an idea what they're doing. So Hipwood and Cameron in defensive 50. They're going to push numbers back hard, try and flood the back half of the ground here.
Quick throw up. It's McInerney grabbed it out of the ruck. Quash coming through by Edwards, but good response from Birchall. Kick out towards half-back. Fisted forward by Asprey. It's in Richmond's 50 now. Ground level take from McIntosh. He turned out the back onto the left. So it's the highest of balls into the pocket. McInerney took the mark and trotted off. Surely went out of bounds.
And a torp.
He scrounged an ugly looking torp forward. I think it just got to him there at the moment. Got a bit carried away. Marked by Chol. He sends one across the ground to Pickett, who sidestepped nobody in particular, and then kicks extremely wide, almost into the third row. Out on the full rather than a Castagna mark.
And I see the runner go out to Oscar McInerney and say, Oscar, that's not what we're doing. We're taking time off the clock when we can. We're not playing on quickly and hitting torpedo punts.
Birchall, who could become a 5-time premiership player this year. Not sure Doom will be happy with that. He makes the switch to Lester on the other side and then to Cameron. Let's see what their purpose is here. He gets himself into an awful bind, Cameron. Has the wheels to get away. Kicks at the extreme wing. And it's fisted in the end by McCarthy, who became a defender. And it's out of bounds.
They don't want to be too cautious. No. He had Martin on then. He didn't look down the line. So they can prey on this a little bit, Richmond. They're being very cautious early, Brisbane.
Margin is 22 points in their favour. Shoulder the throw-in, which was shallow. Took it. Hand pass it to Edwards. Forward of the play to Cochin. Decisive hand pass now to Bolton, who's on a bouncing run. He's had one. He has a second. He wrong-footed everyone, including himself. Hand pass into the pocket. Revolt from the tight angle. Miss near side. And the Tigers miss one. They're down by 21 points on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard.
Ash Barty in the crowd, great Richmond fan looking on.
Surrounded by Lions supporters. Rich in that back pocket right. Revolt works the mark. Rich lofts the kick up to the wing. Scholl gracefully through the air. Doesn't take the mark. Nabio Scholl. Coleman flashes through. A handball to Berry. That's all changed direction though, because Flostone swiped it away. Kicked to Castagna. Castagna goes short. A bouncing ball. Hard to contain by Graham. It gets away from him. 3 lines look at each other. Who's going to do what? Robinson plays it back limply to Birchall. They don't quite know how to finish this. It's a rush behind.
They don't, Anthony, and I think from a Richmond point of view, they're just starting to sense this a tiny bit, that they're sitting back on their heels a little bit. They're looking at each other saying, let's try and save this. rather than get a goal and put it beyond doubt.
20 points with 11 minutes and change to play. Rich marked the kick in, hugged the boundary ever so closely and steered the ball to Zorko.
Slow play. Got to press up Richmond now. Press right up here. But see, that's what you can't have happen.
Zorko to Andrews, 20 metres further afield. Andrews kicks more centrally. Berry has footy in hand. The switch is on. Leicester, now they've got the outlet runner right down the wing. Kick goes in front of McCluggage. Has a devil of a time getting it. Has it, confronted by Asprey. Kicks inside the 50. McInerney from a long way back. Got hands to it. McCarthy underneath. No. He's had a couple of impossible shots. He's missed them both. They're up by 21 on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard.
Out of bounds might have been a better result for Brisbane there. They could have locked it away in that forward half. 10 minutes remaining now on the Makita clock when power means business. As the Tigers bring it out of defence with authority but don't gain a lot of ground. As Graham goes short, back into the defensive 50 and then out again. Flostone busting through the tackle. Likes what he sees on the wing. McIntosh often keeps his width. Took the mark and then dashed away. He's had 2 bounces before you know it. Gets to 50. Pops it up. It's going to be a tough one to mark. Rioli turned his body at just the right moment. It could be on here in a moment.
I've got grave fears. Grave fear. Look, they're going to make a decision in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Daniel Rioli will kick this goal. The margin will come back to 15 points. That might be the best thing that happens for the Lions because Richmond are capable. They are capable of winning this game still.
Ball spinning in the fingers of Daniel Rioli. It's a slight angle. He makes it easier to conquer, and he does. He runs around, kicks across the body for his second goal. And Ash Barty gets to her feet, animatedly punches the night air in Brisbane. Back to 15 points. The doubts have been sown in the minds now.
I think it's the wrong team to leave the door open like this. It's exactly the wrong opponent. And it was from the opening minute of this game where you see how back foot they stood. And it was almost as saying, we're playing with one eye on the clock. We are just desperately watching, and we want that clock to close down because we're not sure that we've got enough in our tank to go. They had enough on their tank. They were dominating the third quarter.
Totally.
They kicked 4 or 5 goals and were all over Richmond. All I think they've done here is said, righto, we'll try and make this interesting for the crowd and everyone sitting at home. That's what it looks like, and it's the wrong opponent. This ruthless Richmond side now, this next 2 or 3 minutes, they score again within 2 minutes. Look out.
9-8 to 7-5 on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard. There's nothing quite so Australian as the number 1 tennis player in the world with a beer in hand, off on her feet at the footy. Nankervis clean tap down to Edwards. Tigers come forward, but the kick's no good. And Harris Andrews with another intercept mark.
Now that's okay. What happens from here?
Andrews is committed to the kick to a contest on the way out. The Tigers had numbers at it. Hawley punches it out of play and traps it at right half forwards. McCluggage lines McInerney down on the bench for Spitwater High Pressure Cleaners, tools not toys, Aussie tough. You've got to have the nerve for it. At the throw-in, Steph Martin took it cleanly. Hand pass found its way to Rayner, to Neal. They get set upon, though, by the pressure. Cochin and Nankervis to Bolton. He's brought down by Archie. It spills to Floston, who's tackled by McCarthy. It has to be one in centre field. Lambert has it. Zorko has him. Ball it up.
It's a good 20 seconds for Brisbane.
Yeah, that's a bit more like it, isn't it? It's a bit more the desperation that's needed.
It's locked back in as McCarthy went with feverish intent at Flostone. Steph Martin brings it to ground. Rayner does the bullocking work. It spills out the front. Bolton shrugs a tackle. He pumps the Tigers forward. It's a wide ball in the dusty direction. It got past him. He regained his footing. He gathers at the 50. He has a look at the goal front. He kicks it out on the full. He had one over the top.
Castanier's sitting there going, hey, I know you're Dustin Martin. I'm sitting on my own in the pocket.
Dusty says...
he really should have given it.
He could have run into an open goal, Castanier. That's a big mistake from Dustin.
Rich places it in the air. Bailey and Andrews are both there. Pickett got a fist to it and it's out of bounds. There's still 8 minutes remaining. Plenty of time on the Makita clock when power means business. 15 points between Richmond and Brisbane, and a place in the preliminary final. The loser to play either the Dogs or the Saints. Dan Curvis grabs it out of the ruck, muscled it forward by hand. Starcevich grits his teeth, comes out, Sheridan in hand, kicks it back to the wing. Knocked away by Hipwood. The Crummers are all Tigers, and a tired Flostone is tackled by Cameron, and it's out of bounds.
This is better from Brisbane. They're playing the ball on its merits now. They're just ball and dispute's probably better for them. Now it's Richmond's turn. They're inside 8 minutes. Now they've got to take a bit of a risk. They've got to get more aggressive at this stoppage. Try and take the game on.
Martin Hunt gets to his feet, gets to the front. That's Stephanie. Got the left-handed tap down roughly towards the boundary line, and it's over and out again.
I've loved Martin and McInerney tonight. I've loved them. McInerney's ability to jump and compete with Bolter when he's been deep inside forward 50 has been really important.
Boundary umpire again. Hurls it back into play. Locking up Martin again. He got the tap down beautifully to Zorko. Gets the kick high in the Hipwood direction. Matched by Asprey that time. It's out, but that's just fine for Brisbane. It's in their forward half now, and they have a boundary throw in to set up a round. AFL Nation for McDonald's. The Monopoly game at Macca's is making winners.
7:39 left in the game. Margin 15, forward stoppage for the Lions. Taken by Nankervis out of the ruck. Away to Graham, off to Edwards, then to Cochin, and now to Lambert. He kicks wide to half forward for Rioli. He's offloaded by Archie as he takes the mark. He walked the fine line, Archie, but he's delayed the play. Rioli. He'll see what they've got deep. Kicks in the revolt direction. 3 against. And Harris Andrews over the top with a telling spoil out of play.
Got to engage him. He's going to ruin it. He's ruining everything for Jack Revolt. Jack can't get a one-on-one jump on it. That's classic Richmond off half-back, by the way.
Yeah, wasn't it?
That's the way they're going to play this last 10 minutes. Oh, sorry, what is it? 7 minutes now. Brisbane are holding on.
Tigers need another. So add the tension. Dusty Martin went in the ruck, got some sort of kick away. Bailey's kick was smothered in defence. So too was Gardner's. It's still there to be dealt with. Bailey hacked it off the turf, but he put it into open space. First to arrive is Arts. Cameron wraps him up. Charlie serving in defence. Squares the contest. 3 goals down one end, and he might have just saved one at the other.
This is where you be aggressive. They've got to be aggressive. Get it to the outside. They've got no ruckman. That's one of the reasons.
Steph Martin kicked it into the congestion, so it just ricocheted away. It fell the way of Lyons, who hand passes it out the back. Bailey got dispossessed. Graham off hands and knees out to Castagna. Challenging ball. It carries Rich. Bolton races back. Bolton will arrive first. He turns Rich inside out. He trickles at the goal front.
No.
Oh, that's astounding.
No!
Shea Bolton. That is absolutely remarkable. And it puts the game right back in the balance. He had to find a margin on Rich, which he did through pace. And then he had to find the angle with the dribble kick. That is your goal of the night, Gaz.
It wins finals. Daniel Rich played it beautifully. Kept him boundary side. He didn't want to get turned inside out. So he gave him the hardest possible kick he could have, and he drilled it. Left foot, boundary, along the ground, and it's gone through the middle, if you don't mind.
Right through the middle.
Right, so it didn't look like missing. That's an extraordinary kick from Shea Bolton. And 9 points, 6.5 minutes.
Do you know what? It didn't have any bend on it.
It's one of the best dribble kicks you've ever seen.
They're checking whether it's brushed the post.
No, hasn't hit the M on the Maccas.
See, it looked like our angle thought it looked like it went through the middle.
Oh, couldn't have been more wrong than that.
No. This is going to come down to snickermometer.
There's the ripple.
At these angles, we can see the ball down with the post, and there is a clear spike on edge. Decision on the scoreboard.
It's hit the Monopoly game.
So cancel the goal out.
Mayfair, it hit Mayfair.
A score review for Drinkwise. You won't miss a moment of your Drinkwise.
Could be its finest moment. The Arc. Could be the Arc's finest moment.
So it's 14 points, and the goal of the year just got cancelled out.
Bad luck, Jared. Do it well. Birchall waltzes into the back pocket. What will that do to the mindsets collectively? Joel tried to claim the mark of the year again. He's getting closer with each leap, but off the pack line sends it forward. Nice take by McStay. Coleman got crunched by a Brownlow winner, and that was Cochin.
I mean, the anticlimactic part about how good the goal was, but the game.
Yeah.
It was the game that was 9 points.
Very different to 14.
Yeah.
From the throw-in, Joel buffeted, gets the tap down though, McInerney. It bounces for Arts. He comes through, slams it on the boot. High ball, Gardner took pole position, didn't mark it. It gave access to Castaniewicz, didn't last long. Dragged down on a Starcevic tackle. There's no more determined young man out there than Brandon Starcevic. And they walk it out, and it's 5:48 to go. Oh, that was a Furphy refreshing ale. Unbelievable moment. That would be, can't be goal of the night anymore, so it's a Furphy refreshing ale. Unbelievable moment.
Oh, dear. 14 points the margin, 5:48 to go in the game. The Lions lead it. Chol won the tap down, but Lyons was waiting underneath. He kicks up to half forward. It'll pitch and prop, and it's to be dealt with. Asprey in defence did well to short to Flostone. He pulls the trigger on the 45. High risk, turned it over. Starcevic has it. The Lions break forward. Starcevic didn't go initially. He does now. He's put it in deep. Rayner flies. Dropped the mark. Hipwood overran it. Hipwood's got it. Run down from behind.
Hipwood's got no right boot that could have just got him into a preliminary final. Tried to get back onto his left. Didn't think it through. Was it Starcevic? He had one on.
That little pass over the top.
Yeah.
So Prestia laid the tackle and he brings it out through short. Kicks long down the line for Rioli.
Who picks it up beautifully. He's handled it as well as anyone. Then he pressed pause for a moment. Fooled Archie, but he just got too clever. And the handball is knocked away by Leicester.
Under 5 minutes, 4 minutes 52. They've got to kick 3 goals, Richmond. It is a very, very tall ask now.
Oh, look at Chris Fagan. He's barking the instructions to the runner. Oh, he's trying to keep the breath even as the ball is thrown back into play. McInerney dealt with Joel. Could have been in the back. Now Cochin made a move. He was collected high. Free kick going Trent Cochin's way. 4:42 to go. He's 60 metres from goal. It's the set-up kick design for Jack. Revolt takes the mark. And he runs back. He knows that there's so many important numbers. The score is the most important thing, but next to that is the clock, which says 4:24. It's 14 points right now. He's kicked 1 goal, 2. Surely he puts this through from 20 metres out. He's done it so many times. Of course he has. And the game is well and truly on. He's kicked 2-2 for the night, and Chris Fagan's mood turns sour.
Oh, this is why that touch, that goal that hit the post is so huge. Cochin revolt. Who else? Who else when the game's on the line? Cochin wins a hard ball for over the shoulder. Revolt takes a contested mark. Chris Fagan goes to Starcevic and gives him some stern instructions. The pressure on these two coaches. 4 minutes. They've kicked 3 of the last 4 goals here, Richmond. Momentum's with them. Brisbane tried to shut up shop too early in this last quarter. Haven't been able to hit the scoreboard, and the Tigers are coming.
It's 2-3 to 2 behinds in the term on the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard. And the margin is 8 points. Brisbane has invited this tension. If it goes south, there's all manner of analysis and regret in it. They have to steel themselves and close the deal.
Kick the goal. That's the best way here from a Brisbane point of view. Easier said than done. The Tigers, this great team, are coming hard.
McInerney and Nankervis go to work. Edwards roves at hand pass to Dusty. Kicks Richmond inside 50. Birchall made the spoil and it found Rich. He guides the ball into centre field for McInerney. Off to Zorko. They play the fast break. Hipwood! A one-on-one with Asprey. He got separation. He hugged it to his chest. He signals like Babe Ruth to the goal front.
Let's just take a breath. Go back to Daniel Rich, who won a footy in the back half and had the cool head and composure just to hit up a target, and then a big contested mark. Be the worst thing in the world for Eric Hipwood to square this if the opportunity presents itself. Take the 30 seconds.
And pass it to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think he's thinking that. I think he's thinking glory.
It's time to be the man. Eric Hipwood, 45-degree angle left of centre. Hipwood from 52. He's given it a look. He's given it a ride. He's missed ever so narrowly. He's missed to the left. It might have brushed the post as well. It's 9 points the diff.
It's Bolter slamming one down the middle. Andrews and Gardner both got a fist to it. More of the same from Lyons. Hooley volleyed it back. Lyons win again. High ball. It's marked in defence. Juggled by God. Free kick. Free kick. It's Stephen Martins, I think.
Well, I was just about to say that.
Oh, he's gone short to Cameron. It's got over his head and it's out of bounds.
They're all losing their head here. They're losing their mind. So, John Grimes.
It was against Asprey.
Yeah, against Asprey had his back to the footy. He pushed Martin under it, but Martin didn't take the full 30 and then turned the footy over.
The 30 was as important as anything.
From the throw in then. They fight and fight again for the ball. Short nudges it forward. It's still a defensive 50. Brilliant no-look handball from Lambert. But Hooley tried more of the same. It didn't work out. McCluggage missed it earlier. Got it! Arms raised. Chris Fagan in triumph. And they come for Hugh McCluggage. It's the youth who learned this lesson. Brisbane have a major foot into the preliminary final. Now they've just got to see off 2 minutes and 28 seconds. The pandemonium of the gather has returned.
Wait till they come back. Go positions, Jack. Positions, guys.
This is a review.
Have they said they're going to review it or
Yeah,
not?
they're checking it.
Okay.
Have a listen to that. Have a listen to that half-filled Gabba. And imagine what it's going to be like in a couple of weeks' time if, in fact, this is a goal. If this is a goal, they're back here in 2 weeks in a prelim. That's how big this is. We've had one at the other end go against Richmond. Will this go against Brisbane? They're looking at a touch.
And we're using the Hubble telescope to see if there was a brush of the fingers.
That's not going to get
insufficient evidence
turned
to
over.
say beyond reasonable doubt that the ball was touched.
Brisbane are into a prelim, boys. Can you believe this? They are into a preliminary final. Well, there's 2.5 minutes. I might be going early, but 15 points. I don't think they can.
I'll just throw this one up.
They can kick 3 goals in 15 minutes, Richmond. Oh, what a night.
What a night.
Foster claiming still that he touched it.
At the ball up. Cochin forced the issue in the middle, but Rich, who's been dynamic across half-back, is there to pull it in.
Absolutely superb night, Daniel Rich. This is the bloke who won the Rising Star Award, and then we just thought it's going to be one of those sort of Reece Palmer-style setups and not really go on with it.
From the very start of the night, he's in the conversation as the player of the night for Blackwood's first for safety. The Lions can be first for safety now as they've been cautious throughout the final term. Caution will serve them well. Robinson kicks it long down the line. McStay removed Chol and took the mark.
They've controlled the air, contested marking tonight. They've just got the job done. Chris Fagan, great story. This is a great story, this footy club.
McStay to half forward where McInerney bounds out and hugs it to his chest.
Oh, get in line for your ticket. Are they going to throw the Gabba open for 2 weeks' time? Is it going to be open or not, like for full house?
Not quite, but I reckon they'll dress rehearsal the grand final. The kick out into the pocket. Hipwood flies. Ball came loose. Bolter kicked it out on the full. And Charlie Cameron rushes to the scene of the crime. He wants it.
Take the 30, Charlie. Take the full compliment.
Charlie, 1 more metre.
So Charlie needs to move himself into Charlie Dixon territory and put himself in a seat in the front row to be on the right angle.
Yours.
He's kicked 3, Charlie Cameron. He's gone for the pass. Rayner slipped over. And the ball goes out of play next to the behind post. It's a 15-point margin with 1:15 to play.
What's going through the head now of Chris Fagan? 2 attempts at final success last year and failed. The numbers, the history so much against them right now, though. They can't lose from here. They love a late goal. Oh, Chol's gone down injured. A hurried kick out of there, but Daniel Rich again. Put an imprint in this game right from the start. Chol's ankle looks a little wobbly.
Take your 30, tell him you want to have a shot. You can't argue against that.
If anyone could kick it, it'd be Daniel Rich. He just couldn't find the flying Neil at the back picket. slams it end on end. And Harris Andrews, what a difference it was that he played and Lynch didn't. You could argue that it's almost been the difference in the game in some ways.
Yeah, it's been huge. It's been huge. From halfway through the second quarter, Brisbane have been more Richmond than Richmond. They've won the footy back. They've kept the pressure on. It's a glorious night.
Robinson plays it into the pocket, and a mark not paid to Bolter. They scramble underneath. McInerney's caught, and the Ashbury tackle. Play on, and out of bounds.
So the Lions fans can feel it. They can sense it. They know it. The top two will have won the qualifying finals. It's just they feel like upsets. Chol taps it down to Floston, to Lambert, out to Edwards. Edwards fluffed his hand pass. Hooley lost the ball. Andrews again to Zorko. High inside the 50. Brought to ground as the siren sounds. The Lions have slayed the beasts. They've punctured the aura. They've broken the hoodoo. The first finals win of the Fagan era is a famous one. And it books Brisbane a home preliminary final. And for Richmond, it's the long road. It's the long road to the title defence. The Lions by 15. Tigers led at quarter time by 6, and then it was the Lions by 13, 21 and 15 at the close. 10 goals, 9-69 over Richmond, 8-6-54. Cameron booted 3 for the winners. Rioli and Revolt kicked 2 each for the losers. Well, listen, it's a throwback to the glory days at the Gabba for Lions fans.
Set the town alight too, mightn't it?
It might. Do you know when they won 3 in a row, I just had a gutful of that song.
It's a great song.
And now that it's back, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to the coach first. I'm going to the coach. There's great stories everywhere for this Brisbane Lions side. This is a footy manager. This is a guy who came from Tassie as a footy manager, who's served under Neil Danaher, Alistair Clarkson, whose name was bandied around a couple of times as a coach, but then they thought, no, he's not going to do it, And then he got asked, he said, yeah, I'll do it. And he's gone up there, and in the space of, which is his 4th or 3rd year, 3rd or 4th year, he's got him into a preliminary final. And what about the way they've done it? 4th year. They've done it against a team who they haven't looked like beating for 50 years. It's just... And it is sensational. And the Tigers now, so we made such a... I did tip this, by the way. We said such a great story around the Richmond Footy Club and how great they've been for such a long time. I think that even adds even more to what Brisbane have done, given the start, given that Neil, who's their main man, hadn't touched the ball in the first quarter. So many storylines in this that you want to explore. And the way Fagan then went after Vlosten and Grimes... That's what coaching's about. I mean, take away the strengths of the opposition. And the amount of times that we've sat and watched Richmond play say, when is anyone going to take notice of Dylan Grimes? When's someone going to, in the opposition, going to say, gee, that bloke there on his own makes it impossible for us to win? And tonight, he just said, righto, you go to him, Rayner. You go to Berry, you go to Vlosten, and let's see if we can't then score around you. And they did, and they win, and they're into a prelim.
It's so rich, and it's hard just not to run ahead. If the Tigers are good enough to win their semi-final, which will be presumed, is they'll have to come through Adelaide. This is the sort of match which demands a retelling, it demands a restaging, but they'll have a hell of a time getting back to the Gabba to face the Lions if that's the way it's to be.
Well, if in fact they get through next week and there's no certainty, they have to go through Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval, where Port Adelaide beat Richmond not so long ago.
Yeah.
So this is throwing this final series wide open.
And it gives Geelong, if they win next week, or whoever wins that game, they won't have to play Richmond as they would have thought.
That's right. So if the Cats are able to get over the top of either Collingwood and who knows, or the West Coast Eagles might be sitting back saying, okay, might have just opened up. But we say that in total disrespect to this team, because you're going to go through these boys on their own deck, living in their own home.
Well, they'll surely be the premiership favourites now because the grand final is played in Brisbane. It'd be tight, I would think, between them and Port.
Yeah.
But, if they win that preliminary, they'll be into the grand final played at home.
Yes, indeed. And again, the storylines through this, those two ruckmen in Martin, who's come back after a long layoff, and McInerney, who is ungainly and gangly, but as honest as the night is long. Oh, dear me.
Glad to hear McCluggage too.
Yeah.
He's a very good young player. He was one who missed the shot earlier on.
You can feel the unbridled excitement through the telly. It's the same as last night. It is two teams who haven't been there. They've booked themselves prelims. It's grand. It really is grand. The scoreboard at the end, the Tyre Power, your trusted tyre expert scoreboard, 10-9-69 Brisbane, 8-6-54 Richmond. So let's work through. There are some contenders here on the post-game show for Toro Pope. The better way to water. Tidy up your yard with Pope's Auto Wind Hose Reel. The Furphy unbelievable moment. Now, it's surely the goal review on the Bolton kick, which was probably the goal of the year until Snicko showed that it had brushed the post.
It's amazing that hit the post.
I'm looking down at my book, which I keep the scores, and I'm thinking 15 points. They'd sort of shut up shop Brisbane early in this last quarter, and I'm thinking that this might bite them on the backside. And then Shea Bolton kicks this miraculous goal. The goal umpire says all clear. It's back to 9 with 7 minutes. I'm thinking they're in all sorts. And then a score review comes through, and Snicko, or whatever they call it, Edge. The Edge breathes life back into the Brisbane Lions.
And there's absolutely no disputing it.
No.
It happened. Yep. It brushed the post. The technology captured it perfectly.
Look at these scenes we're watching now. I know if you're not in front of a television, but we'll try and paint a picture. All the players that didn't play, Ellis Yeoman and Payne that was in the team and had to come back out. We spoke about these scenes last night. We saw Port Adelaide go in. You can't win a prelim from here, but you can certainly set you along the wrong path. But under Chris Fagan, he will take this in his stride. He's been there with Clarkson. He knows what they need to do from this point forward. And they should be celebrated, and they should be excited, and they should go crazy right now. Because that's what footy's all about. This is what hard work's all about.
That's glorious. The Lions by 15. Right, you've got to work with me on these categories here. The Glenn Cameron Can Do Mark of the Day.
We can move the world for you, Camerons Can Do.
It would have been Jack Revolt at the end, I reckon.
One-on-one, game on the line, gets it back to 8 points, contested mark. You did right, Jared.
For MEGT, kick goals with MEGT, your local apprenticeship experts. Just a couple of words on Coleman and how he was able to change just the feel of the game in the second quarter.
Yeah, so I used the word apologetic. I thought they were paying way too much respect to this great Richmond side, and they weren't really getting their hands as dirty as they wanted to, and it was this young fourth gamer that laid two big bone-crunching tackles, and from that point on, it looked like the rest of the group said, yeah, good point. Let's stop sort of deferring to this Richmond side and let's get stuck into it. And I reckon the game changed from that point.
The Bendix Breaks big moment, confidence stopping Bendix Breaks, was the sealer from McCluggage, having left one out there at the end of the third term. Who has left their mark for Tel Life Insurance? Which player, Gaz, left their mark on the game?
Well, Daniel Rich. Daniel Rich was outstanding from the start. He was the best player in the first quarter for the Brisbane Lions. And then in the he was consistent throughout the second and third, and then the last quarter he stood up beautifully. He kicked the long bomb goal to get him started. He was superb.
You just make sure you've got your votes ready, Gaz. The goal of the day on your phone, you're driving blind. TAC was Trent Cotchin. There was good competition as Charlie Cameron and Trent Cotchin both kicked beauties, but we'll go with Cotchin. Wow. The Host Plus Sustained Performer, Host Plus official superannuation partner of the AFL. Was that... was it Neil by the end?
Yeah, I think 19 possessions in 3 quarters is worthy of that. He was fantastic.
Stockdale and Lego coach of the day is Chris Fagan for all that happened within the game, turning the tide and for what it means for his coaching career. Stockdale and Lego, we see more than property, which leads us to the 3-2-1 for Blackwoods for all your workplace safety. Names only, Gaz.
McCluggage 1, Martin 2, Rich Flavour 3.
3 for Rich, 2 to Dustin Martin, 1 for McCluggage. It's been the Lions by 15 points over the Tigers. It will fuel the conversation all the way.
You got the wrong Martin.
Oh, it's Steph Martin. I beg your pardon.
Yep.
Well, you forgive me for deferring, but that's how things changed tonight.
Exactly.
Was it a gauntlet passed? It'll be debated all weekend. Start debating it now. We'll talk on Crunch Time tomorrow, or it's a result that'll last for days. AFL Nation for McDonald's and for Liquorland.